welcome to the first edition of the Husker Fans in Montana podcast. I'm Ricky J here with BB and Carl.
Hey, Carl.
Gentlemen, welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
All right, well, we are in beautiful Helena, Montana, and as Husker fans outside of the state, sometimes it's hard to get some news. So our whole goal is to, one, have fun, drink some beer.
Absolutely.
Drink a little whiskey.
Bourbon.
But talk about bourbon. Talk about Husker football. And benefit to some of the listeners. Hopefully we can take the news of the week and condense that. Like I said, if you're driving around in Nebraska and you got your you've got your car set to sports radio, you every time you get in, you're going to catch all the news because they're talking about the same topics all the time. But if you're outside, you don't have that opportunity. You got to listen to a national show or dial into something online. But I do that every morning. But you got to listen to 2 to 3 hours to get a little bit of news. So what we're going to try to do for people every week, starting now through the season, is condense that news into our first 5-minute segment, and then talk about the upcoming game or the past game, and then the upcoming game, and a little bit of Montana football. And we also, again, said we want to do a whiskey corner, Carl's whiskey corner. But Carl, why isn't that happening in our inaugural episode?
Yeah, why aren't we
what's
having
going on?
whiskey today, Carl?
Because of the drug interaction with the hydrocodone that I'm on, that probably wouldn't be the best idea in the world. So
Could be entertaining.
it could be
I
entertaining.
think our audience might enjoy it,
Yeah,
actually.
as long as I'm not steering a motorized vehicle or anything like that, it could probably be okay. But yeah,
I like that. Now, if you could move that water and pull your mic just a little bit closer.
okay, we could do that.
There
we
you go.
Oh, there we go. There we go. That's what we want.
There. That's pretty.
Can I lick it?
That's pretty. That's what she said. Okay, we'll be editing that.
Why? Why? We don't need to be editing.
All right, gentlemen, we're going to start, obviously, Big Ten Media Days this week.
Big Ten. Big football news. Lots of Penn State. A lot of people thinking they're going to be the team this year.
Yeah.
Might be. Michigan, I don't think is going to be as good as they've been in the past. Still going to be a solid football program. They always are.
Now, why do you say that?
Well, there's some distraction there. I think they've lost a few players, but I just think maybe they've lost a step from last season. Don't get me wrong; they're still going to be a very good football team.
It'll be interesting because the first game Harbaugh's back is Nebraska.
Right.
And
Yeah,
so
you were
that'll be-
talking the other night how that suspension of 4 games, although significant number of games, it doesn't probably have a lot of impact.
No, they're playing East Carolina, Las Vegas, Rutgers, and one other team that are all,
Right.
the first real game is going to be at Nebraska.
How do you think that affects the player if they're sitting there and the attitude in the locker room is basically like, these games don't really matter, they're gimmies? Do you think the talent just overcomes that lack of, focus?
I don't know. It all depends on the team. That's how Harbaugh. Think about Michigan when they lost to Appalachian State, 20 years ago, whenever that was. They went in there thinking it was a cakewalk.
Right.
And you don't do that. I doubt if Harbaugh will let that happen to his team. It could happen though, but especially with somebody. However, Harbaugh's going to be. He gets to practice all the way up. He just can't be on the sideline
Okay.
on the day of the game.
That's a big difference
so
because he can
preparation.
prepare him. He can be saying, hey, you need to get her done.
Oh yeah,
And
definitely.
I still think, I'm not saying that they're not, as I said earlier, they're going to be a good football team. They always field a great team. Michigan just does. But I think there's going to probably be a little bit of a distraction there.
yeah, I agree.
Maybe not a
It
huge
could.
one, but
I think what
it'll be
benefits-
something to see how it plays out. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, it will
Yeah.
be. One of the things, they have a pretty easy schedule though.
Relatively speaking.
speaking. I mean, really, you never know with both Ohio State and Michigan.
Yeah.
You don't really know until that last weekend in November.
Well, speaking of easy schedules, this is a really a good year for the coaching changes and Matt Rule and everything, because Nebraska's got a fairly easy schedule.
Yes, that's true.
relatively speaking. So I've seen third easiest or fourth easiest. So it's a good year to have that as you're just coming out as a
It
new
is.
coach.
I agree. In some ways, I'm like, I wish the easy schedule was next year, just to give them 1 year
Yeah.
to prep the team and be ready to go. And then it could almost, if it was the hardest schedule around, it would almost be an excuse if things don't go as well as we all hope.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't think Rule's going to let that happen. I think Rule
I don't
has
think
something
so
to
either.
prove, because I think he wants to make sure that people don't think or just think that what happened in Carolina was an anomaly.
True.
Well,
He wants to go back to being what happened at Baylor.
Well, and
Yeah.
I mean, if you follow him, he's pouring his heart and soul into
yeah.
this. This is not a coach that's just phoning it in, showed up for the big paycheck. He's clearly in this
Yeah.
to win.
He had plenty of money. He didn't have to come
Yeah,
here.
no,
It's
no,
clear
yeah.
that
That's a
he loves coaching student athletes, and that's a great setup for this clip. It kind of gives his commander's intent, is the way I would say, for the, listening to the Big Ten Media Day coverage, you don't get really X's and O's, but you do get an overall idea of what they want to do. So I'll just click on this section of it here.
Okay, we're going to go to our left here in the center.
Hey, Coach, Steve Marek with Inside Nebraska, part of Rivals. You touched on this a little bit before, but what to you is a successful first season for Nebraska?
Yeah, I've really thought about this, right? I mean, we want to compete in every game we play, right? I mean, we play to win the game, as Coach Morris said. So, I mean, we're going to go out and try to win every game. I think there's something bigger, though, for us at Nebraska. Like, there was a time when Nebraska football was feared, and we certainly want to get back to that. We want to be a team that you say, you know what, that team's feared, but we're not at that point yet. We're at a point right now where I believe that we have to take back the respect of what it means to play Nebraska and to be Nebraska. I mean, I want people to respect when they see that white helmet with that red N on it. And so I want our fans to respect us when they pay their money to come watch us play. I want our opponents to respect us. I want all of college football to respect the way that Nebraska plays the game. And most importantly, I want our players to respect what it means to be a Cornhusker and what it means to be at Nebraska. So this season for me is all about us not just earning, but taking back respect and bringing back respect to Nebraska football. And so once you earn respect, then you can talk about being feared, and that's the process we're going to go through.
We're going to stay to our left.
Man, I love that answer. As you guys know, I grew up in Nebraska, lifelong Husker fan, and all the years that I was, young and alive, basically, Nebraska always was a respected team. And to hear him, that's his goal, is to get that back, is pretty special.
I think it's a lot better that attitude and the words he's using with the respect and earn it and work hard and have other teams respect us and respect ourselves.
Right.
I really like that answer too. I think it's a much better than we're going to win 5 or 6 games.
Right.
It's get out there and set the right mindset.
And
Yeah.
it's going to take time. I mean, Nebraska's going to have to earn that respect from teams, and what they put on the field is going to be critical
Absolutely.
the first
Yeah.
couple of games.
Yeah.
It does look like Rule definitely has been enjoying the Nebraska sun a little bit on the golf courses, maybe.
No, I'm sure he's out recruiting every day.
Every day.
Sounds like it. He's been working it.
Yeah.
Now, there was an interesting question, and I know you said you guys haven't heard this, and I don't remember all the answer, but this is an interesting one. I think I'm at the right spot.
Yep, go ahead.
Thank you, Coach. I'm going to lean on you. When you're a Cornhusker, it means a little bit more. A couple of years ago, Nebraska lost at Wisconsin. Guys were praying on the 50-yard line after the game. Less than 24 hours, the Waukesha parade tragedy occurred where many lives were lost. We give a lot of credit at Wisconsin just seeing your guys there on the field praying less than 24 hours before that happened. As a coach, how are you going to continue to build that culture and that climate that I think your team is really known for throughout the Big Ten?
Well, I think our program, our entire program, is built on really one purpose. We have a mission that we want to be the best team in college football and the best program in college football and the way that we do everything. But really our purpose and my purpose for taking this job and being in college football is so that young people, when they're 25, 30, 35, 40, that they say, you know what, my life is better because I went to Nebraska, and people might scoff at that, but that's why we do what we do. And so we try to attack each and every day, every single player in terms of who they are as football players, but who they are as students and also who they are as people. And young people right now in our society, I mean, there's never been a time where there's been more peril towards our younger generations, right? Coming out of COVID, they're way less resilient. There's way less connections. And so whereas when I grew up, my connections were the Boy Scouts and the high school and the local church and all these things, like kids nowadays are suffering from stress and anxiety and depression. And a lot of it people believe is because they don't have those connections. A lot of kids are just connected to their phones. And so our program, if you watch it, like we're out in the community all the time. And Gus Felder, our player development guy, does a tremendous job. And we're impacting the community because I want us to have connections to each other, connections to the community. We're a lot of education's online now, but even then we're still doing it in our academic environment because kids, they can't leave college and not know how to be in a meeting. They can't learn not how to have discourse. They can't not know how to disagree with people and learn how to listen to other people that disagree. Wouldn't the world be a better place if we all knew how to disagree with each other respectfully? So, and then the spiritual component, whatever their worldview is. We have players that are Christian, we have players that are Muslim, we have players that don't maybe believe in anything. Whatever their worldview is, we're there to walk them through that. We're there to be there for them because who they are as people is way more important than who they are as players. And that might not be popular, and we all want to talk about transfer portals and NIL and all that stuff. That's cool. This group of kids is going to wake up in 10 years, and all that'll be gone, and who they are as people will matter. So that's kind of our purpose, and I appreciate the question.
Just to
I mean, I think that is a great answer to that very difficult question. I mean, just setting the overall goal of taking care of, the student athlete.
And I'm wondering, Carl, with his comments about the COVID and the depression and young people, is that what you see in your
absolutely
practice?
Social isolation, and he hit it right on. People are getting their self-concept validated from social media and not from other people.
Right.
That's critical. We're isolated. It doesn't help us at all. What I do like about what the coach said is keeping things in perspective. That football's
that's the truth.
I mean, football's not going to be the rest of their life. It's what happens, but
it ends for everyone someday.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I wanted to comment too: is this building character in young people? It sounded like something Bobby Houck would probably say. His main focus is on developing young people.
I'm glad you haven't lost your sense of humor. Right? That's good.
All right, we may know that we have
Coach Houck could listen to this and maybe learn something.
Yeah, we have a Grizz fan and maybe a not so big Grizz fan.
I root for the Grizz. I'm a big Grizz fan, but
maybe not.
I've come up with a new saying. I think we should have kept the punters and dumped the coach. Last few years, I think we'd have been better off.
Yeah,
and that's for those that don't know, our Helena, Montana native punted a year for the Grizz, and then now at Nebraska. So loving that. Matter of fact, when he said the students are at the players are at a lot of events, so about a week ago, I got a photo sent to me by a high school classmate that the team members were at some start of a run, and then it was rained out, so they ended up spending more time with the folks that were going to be running this race, and so they're obviously doing a lot of community stuff.
Yeah, there's you see that with the program, and it's nice that they're definitely engaged and involved. And
yeah, that is. Well, I was going to dig into more news and talk more players, but I recorded a lot of stuff from the spring and some of last year's games to dig into. But the bottom line is this is like a brand new team to a great degree. Yes, I mean, and new coaching staff, a new philosophy, and everything. Yeah,
mentality for sure.
So looking at last year and that stuff didn't really seem to make sense. I think really from here now going forward through camp is going to help us figure out what the heck this team will be.
The reason I'm looking at my phone is I was able to watch some of the interviews at the Big Ten event, and Ethan Piper, offensive lineman. He's the name I was trying to remember, and I think he really did a good job articulating the change and the positive changes on the offensive line and their coaching, Riola being there, and he's classy enough young man not to be talking negative about last year, but he was certainly celebrating the improvement this year that they're seeing and seniority and just the work ethic, and I had really high praise for the program and what's changed in the last year.
Rick, wasn't Piper's parents the ones we talked to in Dublin? At the tavern?
No, that's a different. That's
I thought there were.
it was a kid that was hurt. It is. I'm looking at my list here real quick.
I thought it was Piper for some reason.
Prokoska.
Oh,
Teddy. That was Prokoska's parents.
Piper Prokoska.
It's very close. Very close. So Carl and I went to the game in Ireland. Had a great time on the trip. Had a great time at the game, but it had nothing to do with the final score.
Well,
So we're gonna do a breakout special on that one of these days. You can join us to see what you missed.
I did.
And,
It was heartbreaking. I wasn't able to go. I had some family concerns. I wasn't able to be there. But what an amazing experience for our Helena player, Brian
Right.
Buschini. I think we can mention him. Can you imagine your first big-time punt is not only from the back of your own end zone, but it's in Dublin, Ireland.
Dublin,
It must have been
Ireland.
an exciting
Okay,
time for
I got to share the story now. So maybe I'll say it again on the other podcast when we do the special. But as I've told you, we're sitting there we got lucky enough. It was my birthday, and the travel company, which was amazing, and we'll go into that stuff in a special. But they gave us a few of us throughout the buses that they sent, and we were one of the lucky ones that got into the skybox deal. And so we had 2 bars, food all the time, and it was right on the 50-yard line. It was phenomenal. But he's in his red Buschini jersey. I'm in my white Buschini jersey. You know, we had to explain that we were actually just buddies and not a couple several times. But I did have one moment where after he made one of his really good punts that game, this guy walks in where we were kind of sitting, still could see the field and everything, but having some food and drinks. And he looks at Carl and says, "Is that your son?" And I so wanted to say our son, but I had to bite my tongue.
Yeah.
Carl probably threw his drink on me.
Yeah,
but,
the rumors would have spread after that.
yeah, it would have been hard to deny
rumors
anything.
that were already going around.
Yeah, we would have never convinced it. Been like that Seinfeld episode where he that whole one. But again, not that there's anything wrong with that, as they would say on Seinfeld.
Yeah.
So I guess any other things that come to mind as far as news or thoughts, just in general, before we were just going to kick on the spring game.
Yeah, third quarter, when you're ahead, I'm not going to lead with the onside kick.
You don't think that's the
I
sneakiest
don't think
time?
Matt's going to go with that this
That's-
season. I could be wrong. I'm not an X's and O's expert, but I'm probably going to avoid that scenario.
No, that's
Carl,
the
you
old-
disagree?
That's the old regiment. Let's not go back to
Okay.
the past. We can
Well,
all
you
see-
learn from your mistakes, although I'm not
Well,
sure that
I'm
they
not
acknowledge
sure
it as a
they
mistake.
did.
Right? So,
Yeah,
Which is
that
why
was,
we have a new regiment.
I was just like-
G-Town, I mean.
when I saw that happen, I'm like, what?
It might have been the play that set in motion what happened to Scott Frost.
I totally agree.
I
would-
think it was his iceberg with the Titanic. Yeah, I think
I
that
agree with that.
you didn't see it at first, but it cut under the hull, and yeah,
Yeah,
was-
it was hard to shake that. In fact, even today on Twitter, there was, I think, some ESPN commentator or something that said, "What's the most unlikely thing you've seen in college sports?" And a huge number of people had posted pictures of that event.
Well, I mean, you look at that and you say, I mean, Nebraska on the field appeared to me to be the more talented, dominant team. So doing that at that time, to me, could only be if you feel you're not and you're going to lose the game unless you really surprise them with some move like this and get an extra advantage. And so I thought it made no sense. It was like out of desperation or something. I don't know. Or I want to get bought out of my contract. I don't know, but it was something. But all right, I got it set up for this is the start of the spring game, and we've had a lot.
We win this one.
We do.
We do win.
That's
this
why
one.
I always love the spring game. Always.
We're undefeated.
Undefeated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the 14-yard line, coming up the far side. So that's a little bit different spin, an XFL kickoff.
Yeah, it's all about player safety.
It was an interesting kickoff. I mean,
I would not be surprised to see that become the rule for kickoffs as the years go by.
Yeah.
It's one thing. Was it the XFL that introduced that?
I think that's what they
It
said.
really
yeah.
does eliminate some of the
full
full
head
speed
injuries and
collisions,
stuff
yeah.
like that.
Yeah. And you actually kind of get a little bit of a return versus, just kicking it into the end zone or whatever, this fair catch thing.
Jeff Sims into the portal. Nebraska picked him up, and they go up the middle right away to the fullback.
Good job keeping the legs going.
This is a nice tip of the hat to Solich, as a fullback.
Right, I didn't catch it at the time, but afterwards, it was this play in particular was to acknowledge
Yeah.
it.
Coach Rule's also just right in there, spotting the ball. Look at him; he's just in the thick of it.
It was cool to see because there's a
I
lot
think
of
he's presenting the ball.
Yeah.
To him now, yeah.
there's a lot of folks in Nebraska that it's kind of haunted the program for a lot of years the way that he was treated. So
Absolutely.
And look at the football going to Frank Solich, old number 45, the Husker fullback, who the story is, in order to show the coach he was heavy enough to play football, he wore ankle weights for his weigh-in.
that's funny.
Well, and he lifted the curse, so we've got that behind us now too.
Well, I guess we'll see. If we start losing,
If anyone can lift the curse, I
if we
assume he
lose 7,
can.
8 games by less than a touchdown, I think it's still around.
Boy, Sims had a good game, didn't he?
Yeah.
Is deep, a total of 6 scholarship QBs. You see the carry up the middle. That's
I mean, at this time, we didn't know that he was going to be the starting quarterback.
Right.
So, but he did look really good.
With the advantage of looking back in time, that quarterback room cleared out real fast after
Yeah.
that.
8 games last season, started
Now, who's our
2
backup
Nebraska's
quarterback?
first 4 as a freshman. Here is
Well, it's going to
Rooker
have to be,
Johnson,
most logically, I bet Purdy, but
they'll fake the give. Sims will keep it. Drove down from behind on a nice play, and that's that 3-3-5 that we're going to see out of this Nebraska defense.
One of the things I was most excited to hear is bringing back the fullback, running Samai, running the ball. That also is Nebraska football, and it's also winning football. You have to be able to run the football.
Oh, definitely.
yeah.
And it starts with the horses up front.
Well, and Nebraska's offense, I hate to say it, but it really wasn't that exciting. It was run the ball, and then you just wore people out. And then all of a sudden you could, we had a good defense. It kept us in that
Back
game.
in the
Kept
day,
in the
you're
games,
talking
yeah.
about, yeah.
Yeah, back in the day.
These are things that you got to make sure.
So I guess when we talk quarterbacks, Harburg would be we'll see what he does. Both are sophomores with Purdy, so we'll see what those two do.
Well, Purdy's good with the legs. I mean, he can move and run. It does give you a different dimension, I think.
They hope that he ends up half what his brother's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Personnel here for Nebraska. Sims out of the gun will drop back on second and long over the middle.
Nice pass.
Yeah, it was a really good pass.
Hit him right in stride. That's a nice sign there.
And if Casey had last year just struggled, those crossing patterns and just a lot of passes behind the receivers and stuff.
Yeah.
Right. He could throw a killer deep ball, but
Got a tight end that's on scholarship. You got Fedoni. You got a few guys in that room that are really playing for that number 1 tight end spot in the fall.
I think we really are going to have some good tight ends. I'm excited about that position.
Yeah. Picked up another great punter. He's going to be young. I'm sure red shirt is.
Just overthrows his intended receiver. That was Sean Hardy.
Sims is a guy that's really going to be in the battle for quarterback 1. I mean,
Yeah, just looking, we have 5 fullbacks listed on the roster.
5 fullbacks.
5 fullbacks. Yeah.
That's a lot. I mean, most teams aren't carrying more than 2.
So let's see. 2 redshirt freshmen, 2 sophomores, and 1 true freshman. So
are they true fullbacks as far as their size, or are they meant to be an option out the backfield?
Let's see.
I mean, are they receiving? I mean, they all should be, but
Right.
you wonder
So we're
about.
going with that bigger
Are we talking
back,
about the 2.6, 250, 240?
235, 230, 235, 245.
Good size.
245.
Good size.
we talk about some of these guys that are going to be impacted. A.J. Rollins, a guy that reached over number 86 over there.
Well, and that's just, I think you add a new dimension when you've got a big, strong runner like that, and he can short yard. How many times last season on short yardage we're throwing the football and we're all thinking, you can't get a yard on the ground.
Yeah.
And I sure hate to see Whipple gone, though. That's been a hard one.
Yeah, I'm sure
someone has to bring some negativity to this.
All of Nebraska is sad.
Well, if you want X's and O's and football expertise, I understand he's available. We could bring him in, get him in here in the booth with us, Brad.
We could call him.
Yes.
Yeah. I
think he's got free time.
We need to figure some people that we can do some, interviews with.
All right, here's an area of concern, no doubt.
No doubt. Let's see how he does here. And got it in there.
Got it down. A little bit of wind there, but and I've seen Bleak Road. We look at that top. What are they calling that? Top 10%. They come out every week with the kids that are really putting in the effort and whatnot. Bleak Road's there week after week after week. So bringing in that freshman place kicker too is probably going to put some competition in there and push him to
Tristan
be better.
Albano.
Yeah, one of the best in the country, if not the best. He's ranked real well.
If they open every practice, there'd be 60,000 people for every
Out of Omaha, Nebraska.
And there's our Helena local. Bushini's
There he is, yeah.
keeping the ball on the tee. Yeah?
That's right. He was doing some kickoffs in the spring game.
I understand they picked up another Montana kid from Bozeman.
Yeah.
He's going to a senior season at Gallatin High School. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, that's.
Apparently, I think was it his dad was Cornhusker? That kid's dad played for them.
I think so.
Yeah. So
I like to see it. I like to see these Montana kids going to the big programs. It's exciting.
I mean, that was one of the reasons why I became a Husker fan. I mean, I've always been a Husker fan back in the 70s, but when I was like a 7th or 8th grader in Butte, Donnie Douglas was a quarterback for the Butte High Bulldogs, and he went to Nebraska.
Okay.
And he won the state championship through javelin and stuff, and he went, and then huge following for Nebraska when he had a Butte boy going.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I love to see it. These rural places and little towns.
Yeah.
Those kids are putting in a lot of hard work, and a lot of it nobody sees. And
Well, they got the number one guy out of Nebraska out of Ainsworth, and that's a super small town. 2024 class, I believe.
That's a nicer play than someone might realize if you're just a casual watcher of football right there. That's a difficult pass to complete.
It is a difficult pass.
And you hit him right in stride, just the way that you want that to play out.
Just from what I'm hearing, what I read, I mean, Chubba did not look that great at times during the season, but I don't think Whipple did a good job setting him up. And I think he put him in times when he just wasn't ready.
I'll agree with that. I kind of set him up for failure, I think.
Right. And then you do that, and you got a young guy, I mean, freshman at the time, maybe he was a redshirt freshman, but still, you got a guy that you're going to ruin his confidence.
Oh, yeah, especially that young.
Yeah.
Now, we do have the advantage of hindsight looking back on this. There are some turnovers today, but the one thing when I went back and watched it, there weren't a lot of what I would consider our number ones or our starters. A lot of the turnovers were with other players that aren't likely to be getting a lot of play time this year. So, not that it isn't an area of concern, of course it is, but.
And I watched part of the interview with Sims, and he was actually asked about that. And I thought he handled the question pretty well, but said it was definitely something they were, I think, if I remember right, disappointed with and were going to focus on.
Sure. Well, you can't win if you're turning the ball over, and that's true at any level.
Exactly.
Second down and 10. Good little move in the backfield, step out of it.
Another run blitz there, cross dog, 2 inside linebackers crossing there in the A gap and the B gap.
I thought the spring game too had just the right amount of energy. I mean, they're actually tackling people, and they're not lighting people up or taking cheap shots. You don't want to hurt your own teammate, but it's certainly a lot more intensity than whatever that was the year before.
Well, it's easy to have a little energy when you have that many people. I mean, people are excited again. And
Was
look
it
at the stands. It's awesome.
Joe Burrow, NFL?
Yeah.
Just got taken out?
Yesterday.
Yeah.
But that was a non-contact. It was a
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was a calf, and he already had a sleeve on the calf. Luckily, it was just a strain. It'll be fine, but it was no
good.
contact at all.
Oh, okay. I was told last night that some guy trying to make the team hit him.
No, they had it on. They had film of it. He rolled out of the pocket and then all of a sudden just pulled up.
Oh, okay.
So it was pretty minor though. It'll be a strain. However, if it doesn't get bad, it could come back. I mean, he clearly was already aggravated, or he wouldn't have had a sleeve on it.
There's a punt.
Buschini now in there to punt it away. Billy Kemp is back deep. Kemp with the fair catch, taken to the 25.
Full disclosure,
It has been
knowing Brian and knowing him in high school, I sent emails to Nebraska coaching staff at the time saying they ought to look at this kid. And then after he was having so much success at Montana mid-season, I sent a more sternly worded email because our punting sucked so bad. I said, man, you really got to get this kid. Now, I'm sure that did nothing. I'm sure they went unopened. But I was still.
I'm sure they said, Rick, it's good. We're gotta go.
Well, we didn't listen to him the first time. We better
listen to him.
Fucking listen to him now because our punting sucks.
Well, they certainly brought in one thing that Frost did do is they brought in huge improvements with special teams, and then he just needed to leave Bush alone to run his special teams. And
I do like.
They would have been better off, I think.
I do like Bill Bush. There's no doubt. He's a hell of a coach.
Quality guy too.
Yep.
And, I've had the pleasure of meeting him and talking with him, and he's a good man. He's pretty solid.
Well, he's the kind of guy you want around young athletes in your program because he does care about them.
Yeah.
And I remember driving by, back to the Brian story, driving by the high school field, I see it shoveled off some snow so he could kick. And at that time he was punting and he was doing all the kicking duties for Capital High School. But that's when I took a picture of that and actually posted it on my Facebook then and called him a future Husker, not knowing in any way that it would actually turn out to be true.
Yeah.
So every time that comes up as a memory, I'm like reshared it.
Yep.
Behind the state and just how much they really rally to this team and just want to have so much success for him and his program.
Bonner's in there again at fullback. In front of Gabe Irvin Jr.
I don't think it was, but I hope it wasn't just for show, the utilization of the fullback.
I don't think so. I've heard him talk it. And,
not with 5 on the roster.
Yeah, that's true.
You don't waste the roster spot on a position you don't plan on using.
I got to tell you, that's the most beautiful play in football right there when you need 6 inches on a third or fourth down.
Don't get taken down behind the line. That's all I'm saying. Go under center. Obviously not a coach. I admit that my knowledge of the sport is minimal as a fan, but for the love of all, when you just need a little bit, I don't understand it.
And they're lining
Why
up
start
in the pistol and all that?
Why get the ball 5 yards back when you need a half a yard? I don't. Let him come running at you and give him the ball at the line of scrimmage.
Well,
you're close to.
it's a good time to, I think, comment on this podcast and what we hope to do going forward is there's another nice throw.
Yeah,
it's all a matter of deception though, because if you have the guy too close, the defense is going to know that they're going to load the box even more. I think there's a hope that if you keep them a little deeper, they'll keep one guy back a little bit. So I could see that.
I'm just saying from that shotgun position, I would rather see them, if they need a little bit, have a fullback, an extra blocker, and then, let him come at a full head of steam, give him the ball, and get a few inches. And also, we had line troubles last year. Let's face it. So if you had a fullback in there, an extra blocker, or use the running back to block and let the fullback slide out in a passing pattern.
No, you got to have all the components. But that's one of those plays when he's talking about earning respect. At Nebraska, I think that's how you do it. When you need 6 inches, by God, we're going to line up head on head and pads on pads. We're going to push you back, and we're going to get the yard. And when you can do that, and you've got the horses up front that can do it, that's one way you start earning respect.
Well, like Warren Sapp, some of those guys that were on, again, hate to go for that far back in history, but those guys were some guys on that team on the defense that were, huge NFL stars. And they just wore them out,
Sure.
And just Schlesinger running crazy.
There's Grant with a nice run. And, what's his current status? Is he healthy? Is his academics? Do we know? I guess we'll find out shortly when camp starts.
I was going to ask it. Is Grant number 1 for sure, or Ramir Johnson? Gabe Irvin? Who do we think?
I think it's going to be up. Somebody's going to have to earn that job.
Someone's going to have,
Right.
that's a tough one.
Good pressure there. Garrett Snodgrass, the junior out of York, Nebraska, was there.
If anything, maybe not a knock on Grant, but maybe one or two too many moves sometimes, trying to get the extra yard from last season.
Yeah.
And not cutting upfield because too much lateral stuff. There's a good football named Snodgrass. That's what you want on defense.
That is, yeah.
A good defensive players.
Back to throw again, but under pressure. Great spin out of the pressure by Sims. Far sideline.
Showing a little speed and agility there in that play.
Yeah.
It's helpful.
I was listening to Coach Rule talk about his concept of running with the quarterback, and he's like, he doesn't want to, use it like the old option game or something like that, where a quarterback's getting 2 or 3 yards, but he wants to use it specialty plays, or a play breaks down, and then kind of surprising defenses with the quarterback run, and get big gains out of it.
Along with Linhart, those are 2 true freshmen who have received high praise from the coaching staff, and you saw Linhart right there. On 3rd down, a short gain on the completion. There is the defensive coordinator for Nebraska, Tony White, also the associate head coach, former linebacker at UCLA.
We were talking about Bush earlier, and hey, it did a good job with special teams. But can you imagine the difficulty mid-season? Now you're taking over defense, and I thought he frankly did a pretty good job. I think the defense improved.
Well, he made a lot of changes.
Yeah.
Put a lot of younger guys out there, I think.
Right.
I really enjoy watching him on the morning show with Sip and Jake out of Lincoln.
To try the field goal, and he got it. That's Spencer Pankratz.
2 for 2 on the field goal so far.
Well, here's a kid we don't see too often. Good for him being able to put 1 2.
Not exactly a kicker number at 79.
And when you get 3, that's the only number they care about,
That's
right?
November type atmosphere here, weather-wise. Wind coming, it's pretty chilly. Points come at a premium, especially late in the fall. So being able to find again the kicker competition, but also being able to just get points when you get down into the red zone is huge.
So what's the status with Little Red? We gonna still on the field? Gonna be there? Personally, and I think full disclosure, I think it's time to retire Little Red.
You have a interesting focus on Little Red.
Do
you have bad dreams?
Quite obsessive.
I do have dreams that those.
Could you get a session on this?
Yes,
These
please
are not anything
schedule
we're
a
going to
section
be
and
sharing.
Analyze your dreams of Little Red.
If you don't have nightmares after watching Little Red, there's something wrong with it.
I think of one thing
Be a
when I
Stephen King
think
movie.
about Little Red, the story that I was told and I'm not going to talk about it on this podcast, but I think you know what I'm talking about.
I may have heard that story.
Yeah, that disturbs me about
It is
Little Red.
well,
Yeah,
my point exactly.
but it's really.
Herbie's been updated. Herbie
Yeah?
looks pretty good. I think Herbie.
What do you guys think about that? I mean, I guess we would need to see the comparison of all three. But
Always evolved over the generations.
I
yeah,
think
he
looks better this
was
year.
quite chubby with the thing, and then he got super fit, and now I think he's
Steroid
somewhere in
era.
the middle. Yeah, maybe it's like our life.
Yeah.
Yeah, we used to be pretty damn well. Maybe we were a little chubby, fit. Yeah, you know, you vary at different times.
Then we went
So we're
to
going to go with
dad
a really
bods.
old
Yeah,
mascot.
we went to dad bods, and now we're just decrepit crypt keepers.
Yeah. I don't know. That thigh of yours is looking huge,
Oh, yeah,
Carl.
that hematoma.
We got to show that to the
that's-
folks.
Well, I don't think anybody really wants to see it.
Could I get a little of that for my traps?
Yeah.
I feel like they're hurting these days.
Yeah.
It's one of those turnovers we were talking about earlier.
Got to make sure ball security is a huge piece, especially coming out right away. You give this offense now a short field. That's something you just
I
can't
will
do.
say if
Taking a look at it here.
here we go.
Got a chance here, comes in. That's a really
Yeah,
nice
77
play there
missed
by
a block
the
there.
linebacker to just come and punch that ball out.
Ruling of a fumble recovered by the defense is under review. So they will take another look to see
Who's this? Allen
who's down
fumbled it there.
on the recovery
Yeah.
by Waller.
But I will say, if you go into this year's season and you're turning the ball over, it's just no chance.
This is being used as a full
A lot of
walkthrough of that
changes, a lot of improvements, but those are all going to go down the drain if you can't hang on to the football.
Oh, that's a fumble. Wallen comes through and just absolutely punches the football right out of him. He's got it in his right hand. Comes through. That ball is cleanly out. That's something as a young back. Again,
That's right, Allen. He entered the portal, I believe. I'm not sure where he went, but I'd have to do a little Googling. But he's not on the roster.
So it was confirmed, and we have a new quarterback in the game now. Here is Heinrich Harber in there at quarterback. He'll keep on the run on the left side.
Nice.
Still on his feet.
Nice
Oh,
move.
inside the
Got some
5-yard
quickness to
line.
him.
Great carry.
Yeah, he is quick.
The guy Rule was talking about when they did the Husker Olympics earlier, they were able to go and see how athletic he was. You see here the option play.
So to
runs around the guy.
backup is obviously that battle, and we'll see how much of a battle it is in fall camp. But it's got to be the battle between him and Purdy.
Sure.
You know, it's interesting you say
That was a
developing as
real
passer.
nice run right
Think
there.
about his high
Yeah, it
school
was.
career, he was known almost strictly as a passer, right? Out of Kearney Catholic, and Kearney had a great high school career, and now they have called his running ability his superpower. As you
Yep.
saw the delay there. That's
Not there.
going nowhere.
Great blitz, great play call there in the defense. Again, you're seeing that aggressive nature of what Tony White wants to do. Especially you get down here, you have a motion going back across the other way. They send pressure off the weak side. Take a look at the defense here. You got the pressure coming. 12's the unblocked player.
Omar
Good
Brown.
unblocked player. Omar Brown comes off the edge there and just makes a really clean tackle. Nowhere to go with the ball. That's 7 guys into the 6 to 7 guys that are in the pressure there. That's hard to block. That makes it where you got to.
What do you think of the off season, the recruiting so far? What's your? I think he's improved. I think he's done himself well there. Brought in some pretty good talent.
In the backfield.
There
we
you go.
Nice run.
Nice stiff arm.
For the touchdown.
There's our lead weak play again. You get the fullback leading up on the inside backer there. This is what happens when you send pressure, though. All it takes is one crease. Man, I could be happy for that young man coming off of the injury that he had as a young player. But here's a replay here. You see Ethan Piper, Turner Corcoran. You get the lead up block there, and now it's one-on-one. Gabe Irvin with Brown there.
There's Ethan doing a good job.
Talk about how it is. Ooh, get away with a little bit of a hold there, but that's okay. We won't call it. But that's a great
And he's just a
play.
sophomore,
Great
which is
block,
nice.
Point of attack by those two players. You get a chance to really see the receiver getting down there too, giving a great block as well.
There's a hold. We won't call it. That is spoken like.
Yeah, but it will get called in the regular season. Got to clean that
You
up.
got to give credit there to Sean Hardy getting in there, push cracking on there. Oh, going for 2.
So they will go for 2 here. Here is Harvard back there. Flipped out of the flat.
It was a little open there.
Nice catch. It was a little
Yeah.
underthrown there.
Already.
He's gonna
But remember,
be a
I
special
can't-
player for us. You lose
looked good in the spring. He had some really good catches. Little guy though.
Harburg with a nice ball. He's got good eyes, sees it all the way, just delivers a strike to him. Goes down and picks it up off the turf.
Yeah, Kempa's listed at 5'9", 180. So what does that probably make him, like 5'7"?
Probably.
If they do that?
120.
Yeah.
All the coaches have talked about how deep this running back room is. There's Urban Jr. Take a look what they have coming back. Anthony Grant did most of the work last year. But again, Urban started 2 of the first 4 games of his Nebraska career before injury.
And really, 2 years ago, Ramir Johnson was our entire run game. When he wasn't in there, the run game was almost non-existent. So, you have a stable of backs back there that are able to compete, and it's always good at, here we go.
Step to the outside. And a nice return there by Josh Fleeks.
That's going to be another part of the game on special teams. Punt return and kick return game. We've got some players to replace there and see what we come up with. Last year, I think, was a little disappointing on that front. We had not many, if any, big returns on the year. So.
Yeah, I like Bill Bush's take on that's a real man that will actually do a punt return.
Oh, yeah.
I've heard him say, you ask the room who wants to return punts, and you get very few hands. Who wants to return, the kickoff, you'll get a lot more. But
sure.
Especially the guys that play bullet on the outside that just go screaming down.
Yeah.
Complete sense of carelessness.
Just want to take your head off.
Yeah.
Well, there's another turnover. We were saying it's certainly got to clean it up.
You said earlier, though, this is so much better than that touch thing or whatever we did last year.
No excuse for that, though. He's got to hold on to that ball. He's got both hands on it, but what the heck? It just came right out.
Just get separated.
Out of Dundee County, Stratton, Nebraska, Pinkelman with the hit that forced the turnover, recovered by Ashton Hausman.
It's kind of funny, though, if we were playing someone else and it was our defense and we caused a turnover, we'd be like, yes!
Yeah.
But that's how the game's
like
played.
this, we're like, no, we can't do that. So I hope there was a little bit of the defense learning to attack the ball, which I felt over the past few years we just didn't do.
Little check down there after didn't see anyone deep.
Well, I do think you're going to see a lot more aggression especially on the defensive side of the ball. Everything we've heard and from the players, coaches, they're definitely up in the tempo. There's no half-speed drills. It's not anymore.
But I don't know how long fall camp is, but I think the rules right now are like you can only be in full pads like 8 days. It's something like that. It's very limited. I never imagined that.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure how many days they get. I know that I was listening earlier. It's unlimited time, and I think the young men are reporting to
on Sunday. Yeah.
On Sunday, you're right, to the dorms.
Right.
Which I kind of like. I think it's get away from the distractions and the noise and all the other stuff going on.
Right.
With the practices starting Monday, so I do think there's a few days up in the beginning where you're limited to, I don't know if it's non-pads or non-ball activities or something.
So it was in one of the interviews with Coach Rule today or that I listened to today. I'm pretty sure the number was 8, which shocked me. And he goes, when I read that, because coming back from the NFL, he said, when I read that, I thought we were talking high school. But he's like, that's the rules for everyone. We'll make it work. So that's surprising to me.
I imagine they could do a lot more in the NFL. That's probably what he wasn't used to.
Yeah. Well, and I think even when he'd been in college prior, I think it's a new rule change. A newer, anyway.
That's true.
Here is the give to Grant. Grant running downhill, breaks one tackle near the 20 for a gain of about 7. One of the other things that
I do like him.
I do too. He's got good movement. He's got a good lateral movement, and he makes the first guy miss a lot of times.
Yeah, last year there, if my memory serves me, it seemed like there was several times where he had to make a quick move to even get any room at the start.
Go out there and just be athletic. I mean, these guys are 300-plus pounds, but they are athletic human beings. We're trying to steal a free 5 yards here at the end of the quarter.
Try to get him to jump.
Well, there's the end of the first quarter.
And the number one offense has put 14 on the board here early on.
A nice thing too at Nebraska is the spring game is something people show up to. It's not an empty stadium, you know.
No.
Yeah, and they,
I don't remember the number right now, but what would we get, 40,000 or thereabouts or more?
He loves his job.
So
you
it's,
can tell that he's really, he loves the kids.
Fan base is amazing.
I
That's
think
for
that
sure.
just what matters to him is just that they enjoy themselves and they get better each day. And that they
Last
play for each
Heisman
other.
Trophy winner.
And I really think that the foundation that he's building is what Nebraska's foundation has really been all about for years and years. So we're real excited. Former players are excited to have Coach here and be a part of the program.
Big foundation has been great quarterbacks like yourself coming down the pipeline. What do you think the next Nebraska quarterback needs to possess in order to be successful?
That's a great question. I think they have to be tough, number one. Number two, they have to be a team leader. I had a chance to talk to the team the other day, and I just talked about how, each one of those guys can lead. And especially at the quarterback position, you got to be a leader here. Got to be confident and believe in yourself. And you got to be able to win some football games. I mean, that's what it comes down to.
You won quite a few football games. What's your best memory of being a Husker?
Man, just the locker room, the camaraderie with teammates and coaches. It's a dynamic sport. I love every drop of it, every ounce of it. And I'm just glad I got to play an opportunity to play here in Nebraska. It was a lot of fun.
Thanks so much for joining us. We're looking forward to seeing you soon. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Megan. And thanks, Eric.
He was so fast. My God, elusive.
One of 3 Heisman Trophy winners at Nebraska. Mike Rozier, Johnny Rogers before him. More pressure. Off the edge.
You would talk about a punt.
Nice hit.
Talk about a punt returner, Johnny Rogers. Baby.
Johnny Rogers.
I mean, you look at those. I mean, he was like water.
Yeah.
Man.
Watching some of those games against Oklahoma back in the early 70s.
Right.
Catch that ball in a crowd and just, I don't know how he did it, but phenomenal.
Not much the quarterback can do in this circumstance. He did the right thing, just go down.
Yeah.
Maybe quit running.
Yeah, especially
the wrong way.
Yeah, take a knee.
It's
Legacy Husker, son of Danny Noonan.
well, 2nd and 26. Okay.
Ooh.
Tipped at the line of scrimmage and incomplete. Attempt by Harburg.
Good play there by Nash Hutchman. Just nose guard there again. He talks about a guy that comes through here. He able to not know he's not going to get home on the rush, but get those big bear paws up there, all 6 foot of you, and get up there and throw those hands up and just disrupt, right? I mean, that's a PBU. That goes on the stat sheets for a big fella like that. He's been a guy that's a vocal leader, physical leader. He played a lot of snaps last year with Ty Robinson missing most of the spring. He's been a guy that's really stepped up and really has impressed the coaches with his physical ability, but also his leadership ability.
Coaches have raved about him, former high school wrestler who's 166-0 in his high school wrestling career.
Send 3, drop everyone back.
Oh, I should have been picked off.
Yeah, I've lost track. Do we know which quarterback is in there right now?
I think it's not Purdy, the other guy.
Harburg.
Hamburg.
I thought it might be a guy that's gone.
You want to put this ball kind of right in between the 2 yard markers there in the end zone and let
Just overshoots him.
Yeah.
No, that's a dangerous pass. We don't want that.
Well, and that, play like that too. You wonder, is it a quarterback? Is it a spot pass? Is it a receiver cut too soon? But, that ball's in the air before you realize it.
Usually it's a straight though.
Oh, it is.
They're not cutting in.
It was Harburg.
There's a problem. And you never know. It's a snap. It's the hold. It's the kick. There's a lot that goes on in those that people don't always realize, but you got to make them, bottom line.
So I don't know, BB, if you listen to it, but Bill Bush on the radio show in Nebraska now with Sip and Jake, but they've talked about, I think tongue-in-cheek wise, but a little bit serious about if they'd ever consider putting a dome on the stadium. And, part of that being, being able to control the wind, make it louder,
Yeah, but in Nebraska, I think the weather plays part of an advantage.
Yeah, well, it would. That's what they were joking about too. It's like retractable, and then Bill Bush like, I want to be the guy controlling it. So when they got the ball, I'm pulling it back.
Yes, exactly.
So all the snow and wind and everything, we got the ball, I'm closing it.
Well, it is a windy facility if you've ever been there, and I've been in that stadium on a windy day, and it really does swirl around.
It does, yeah.
He just understands there's a process to this, and they trust, and he knows his process. You've seen what Baylor.
But that's definitely to the advantage of the hometown kid, because they know how to manipulate that. The kid who's coming in doesn't know how to deal with that swirling wind.
Speaking of the stadium, I think they're what are they calling it? The Big Red Project is. There's some discussion this weekend, or I believe a decision possibly next week as to what the future Memorial Stadium is going to look like and the upgrade.
Yeah, it's called the Go Big Project.
Go Big Project.
Yeah. And I guess they're kind of figuring out how because some of the facility is ready now. The new, I guess, totally state-of-the-art, amazing facility. Coach Rule said a little story where he said his wife toured the part of the facility that's done, and she said, you better win some games. Because it's like the best facility she'd ever seen.
Right? Yeah.
And that's another turnover now. Was that on the handoff? Was that for the transition from the quarterback?
Let's see that.
All created by Wynn. Wynn is a really good player. He's able to get a cross-face, create disruption, and the running back. You can see here, Wynn being able to beat the right guard here. He's sitting there. That running back.
And that looked like he was.
He got ran into by the
rubbed him
blocker.
too close.
Yeah.
And he didn't keep the ball in close to him. He's got to keep the ball in closer.
The fullback was never going to get that ball.
No.
It just, it's hard to tell from our vantage point whether the fullback got too close.
I think that's what it
or
was.
the quarterback never should have. Quarterback maybe should have had that ball tucked back, just not used to letting the fullback go through.
Pretty nice play there.
I do like the way Grant runs.
Yeah.
I think if his offensive line gives him a second or a seam, I think he's the kind of guy that can exploit it.
He needs the coaching, in my opinion. Like I said, he's got to learn a little more when to put the head down and just take what you can get.
Yep.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to make every play, the big play.
But it's hard to tell because last year, was he trying to make the big play because there just wasn't anything there and he's trying to make it? I mean, he may not have to do that if there's a seam that's there for him.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a lot of weight on his shoulders last season, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We have the guy starting one side. You see him come back across here and pull. You have another puller. You're trying to create gaps.
But I'll tell you, when you're on the receiving end of him, trying to take him down one-on-one, you're going to feel that after the game. You'll be looking for the ice bath.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he runs hard. I mean, he's not like a 240 guy or anything like that, but he runs hard.
Yeah, he does run.
And I like running backs that finish. Like, you're going to tackle me, okay, but I'm going to punish you a little bit. Like that, even, that defender has to kind of slow down because he'll juke him if he stays too fast. But Grant can just go full speed and smack him.
He plays that rover position. You talk about 3-3-5. You have the 5 DBs, but when you want to go a little bit bigger, you bring Jamari Butler back off the ball a little bit, and he's going to be all over the field. He can line up at Mike linebacker, Will linebacker, Sam, the Jack, whatever it might be, and you can send pressure. And he's got the athletic ability to be out and cover big tight ends, the ability to be out in the flat for a receiver on a bubble screen. He's going to be a guy that we talk a lot about.
Just something how the language of football has changed since I was a kid.
Yeah.
It's Mike and Sam now and all this. You've got linemen, they're calling them technique.
See, look at that.
Yeah, just a missed exchange.
Now 4 times here in this first half.
Wow.
Can't do that, man. Football is king. If you turn the ball over and talk about
See the replay on this one.
Yeah, Rules, I'm sure, is focusing on this. That had to be cleaned up. Has to be cleaned up between now and the first game.
So, yeah, who was that running back? Maybe they're not going to show us.
That one.
So Bonner, along with Grant, back in the I formation. Sims drop back.
Good pickup.
Really good throw.
Good
Yeah,
pickup.
good
But
pickup on the block.
that blitz, and they had a shift going. The offensive line did a nice job that time.
Well, and that's an example. Like having a fullback and a running back in to help that offensive line out, pick up blitzers and.
Pass protection here gives Sims a chance to step up and deliver that strike. When they send blitzes like that, you got one-on-one coverage, and you're expecting your tight ends to be, or your wide outs and tight ends to go win.
Tavion Thompson with the grab. Chuck in. Down to the 6-yard line for Thompson. So brings
I read that Sims has even gotten a lot bigger, and stronger.
Well, the whole team. The weight and conditioning program and the nutrition program has all just gone through the roof. It's much better than what we've had in the past. I've read that lots of kids saying that. Not only the conditioning, and they're being smart conditioned, not just working them, till they drop.
Flexibility, not just strength.
Right, and the nutrition aspect of it, they have meal plans designed individually for the players and what their needs are. It's
good.
Quite something.
It's kind of nice to see us returning to, like, hopefully state of the art in that, because Coach Rule was getting interviewed at the Big Ten. I don't know who the interviewer was, but he brought that up. He said when he was in high school, and it wasn't in Nebraska, it was somewhere else, but a senior in high school, it's like, good run. It's like, we got the Nebraska workout. We got the Nebraska workout. So it was like known nationwide as like the workout you want to get.
Right.
And, that hasn't been the case for the last several years.
Well, it's nice about the nutrition piece that it doesn't involve going to Golden Corral.
Right.
The all-you-can-eat buffet.
All you can eat. Yeah.
That was the meal
That
plan
was the
when I
meal
was a
plan in
kid.
the past.
Yeah.
This is a nice run by Sims. Like it could have been taken down easily around the 5 and is able to break that and get in.
But let's stay negative. That defender's got to get better. Let's not go soft, gentlemen. We got a whole season ahead of us.
That's true. This will get better, ladies and gentlemen. This game's almost 8 months old now or something. So.
Yeah.
But, it's our inaugural presentation, so we're working out a few kinks here and there, but doing okay, I think.
Casey Thompson.
Again, there's experts in this game, but most of them are out of work right now.
Exactly. Like I said, I had the spring all kinds of stuff recorded, and the team has just changed so much. Right after this game, a couple weeks, several people left, and so just felt like we can start from here and move forward.
Here's Coach Foley that Matt's Rule's speaking to, who's done a really, really good job on special teams again, following up on what Bush laid the foundation for. But he's brought in one of the top freshman punters in the country and the top kicker.
That's great.
So Foley's doing some serious recruiting as well in the special teams field.
Well, it's so important, and I don't know why. Former Coach Frost just seemed to ignore that part of the game, or really didn't emphasize it. I don't know.
It really was confusing.
Clearly, my emails got ignored.
Clearly.
Yeah.
Well,
so
there shows a lot of
shame on
lack
him.
of focus.
That was
right
his
there.
first mistake, was ignoring your emails. So.
Yeah.
There's something. I still think there had been something else going on with Coach Frost, because I just don't. Either that
conspiracy theory.
Well, no, I'm just saying that there's something. Either that or the whole experience in Dublin really just deflated him. He just was never the same. But I don't know if he was going in.
Yeah,
there's just something there. His mind. It just doesn't seem like. I hate to question his heart, but something wasn't there.
There were rumors out there, but I don't know enough to comment on any of those. But I know that when he was announced, and when we were going to get the last national championship quarterback, he was a quarterback on our last national championship team, and when he was coming and the success he had, in Florida,
Right.
and even, it will, as an offensive coordinator, we were just so excited. We thought but maybe he was just, the athletic director at the time just anointed him the heir apparent, and it wasn't like, okay, you don't have to work to succeed anymore. Like that kid that gets handed everything, we were so excited.
Kind of like Carl.
Like Carl.
Yeah,
Like,
but
yeah,
you know,
just like Carl's
but
been
you
given
think
everything.
about it, when he was at Central Florida, there weren't any expectations.
Right.
And I think he walked into a situation where, Nebraska kid going back home with the expectations and the weight of the whole state on, maybe it was just too much for him. It easily to see. I mean, it could
have been.
That's an incredible amount of pressure on anybody.
Sure.
To turn around a program like Nebraska, that has so much pride and history to it.
Yeah.
And maybe it was just too much for him. I don't know.
Yeah. And there is, though, something to be said, and I'm not saying this is the case, but when you go into something and you're already, it's like, oh, you're going to be amazing. That could either fire you up to meet those expectations or be like, oh, everyone already thinks I'm awesome, so what do I got to prove?
Right.
See, he's quick here. I remember this play. That's some speed.
Well, he showed that a little bit last year as well. I mean, he does have.
Yeah.
He's got good legs.
Yeah, he does.
I do think he could be really good. I mean, we can get Sims. He could stay one more year, I believe. So we could have Sims for 2 years. But I think Purdy could be good.
See, and I would disagree with the announcer on this one.
I would.
'cause I think he has real good wheels.
I think he does. Good quickness. I mean, he's got some athleticism. He just doesn't look the part.
Well, like you say, his brother was
Mr. Irrelevant.
quite right, but he made it
Right.
relevant this
Yeah,
season.
yeah.
Boy, did he have a season!
Yeah.
I'm thinking his next contract will be better than the one he's got today.
Well,
This last play, they just putting it in the dirt. I mean, it looks. I mean, that's a better play than it looks. Just don't take that sack. Just
Sure. Yep.
live to fight another day.
Well, like you've said, sometimes quarterback, you just don't want him to lose it for you. Just,
Right.
You
You got to
don't-
manage the game.
Right.
Out of the shotgun is Purdy. Nice grab on the edge. Catch by Fleeks. Fleeks with a nice game.
Nice.
Yeah, every team in the country runs that play, and there's a reason for it. I guess it's hard to defend against.
if it's properly, if you got the blockers
Right.
out there.
Put yourself in a 3rd and 3 here to try and move the chains. Blaze Gunnarsson, number 97, right here closest to us, the defensive lineman. He's been a guy that, has developed a lot. He's gotten bigger. He's put on weight. He's a guy that they're really hoping can kind of come into his own to play next to Ty Robinson and those guys next year.
Bullock was in motion.
Now I'm going to go positive. That was a hell of a defensive play.
How about that? Right on cue, huh?
Yeah, he's going against, the Jacob Hood, the transfer in, big tackle there, so that's a big man, by the way. Jacob Hood is
I don't think Reimer was in for the spring game, was he?
crosses his face here.
I don't.
I'm not saying
I
him
think
out
he
there.
was injured, or they just held him out with some injury.
Okay.
4th down and 4.
How you doing, Carl? Need some more narcotics?
I need some more narcotics.
Yeah.
Ribs are a little tight.
Are the teams going to be able to run? And you take a look at what San Diego State did within the first couple of years. They implemented it under Tony White. They second in the nation in run defense. It's a
I should have brought my little breathing tool. That would look really good on the
Yes.
Oh yeah.
on the podcast.
Well,
You're
those-
sucking a little ball in.
Those who may be wondering is, here's the fake punt.
Yeah.
there by Tagaloa, Brody Tagaloa.
Now, as much as I love our Helena boy,
Absolutely. But in fairness here, now we did learn afterwards that these runs were called on the spot by Rule, and that the rest of the punt team does not know he's going to run.
oh,
And,
okay,
and thus, as you see, there's very little blocking.
yeah,
So his own team, it wasn't a design
no,
one.
this wasn't a designed fake. And look, as you can see, no one's blocking for him.
So Brian's the only one that knew.
He's
Was
the only
one.
one.
Now that's interesting. Why would what's the purpose there?
Rule said that it was trying to even up the
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 possessions.
turnovers, and so he was
Yeah,
Okay.
So the next one as well.
So
the
equally
fake
second
is
place
also
on both
this-
sides. Okay. Yeah, that's important.
Because when I watched this live, I thought, my Lord, we need to come up with a better fake punt because they're not blocking anybody.
Right.
So I guess it was a relief to learn that no one knew the play was on.
That's also true.
Just run the ball, son, and
Just run.
get crushed.
Exactly. Here we go. We were talking about Herbie earlier.
A new look Herbie.
Good looking motorcycle he's coming out here.
That thing is nice. The fans are excited about it, right? Honestly, I think the fans might have been equally excited to see Herbie Husker run out of that tunnel as much as they were Matt Rule in this year's Huskers.
I think you're right.
Oh, nice play.
Over the middle.
Ah.
Great job defensively on that back end, swiping it away.
This is easy to say behind a microphone, but you need to make that catch.
Yeah, so
But
good grasp of the obvious there.
there's times when you got to make this catch.
Well, no, the
I'm
guy
gonna-
did strip it. He got a hand in.
He
That
does.
is a point. Yeah, I think the defensive guy did a great job instead of just tackling, smack that ball. And I remember watching this game more closely for that, and I felt they must have been coached up on that, which is good.
Oh, what? Yeah, that got hit at the line.
It's not good.
A live football, the ball had to be, his arm had to be going forward.
Yeah,
The ball went forward 10 yards. I mean, it's
Right.
the refs are a little. This is a spring
is
game for them
preseason
too.
for
Yeah,
them, too.
preseason.
Yeah.
They're a little
Preseason.
confused.
You never know anymore. You never know if it's a fumble. It's not like you never want to be the guy standing there as the defender picks up the ball and runs the other way for a touchdown, right? So always getting on the ball, always being able to here. But again, just a heads-up play. Good pressure. Gabe Urban comes along here. The center, Evan Jenkins, gets beat.
Yeah,
a little
ball
bit there,
definitely-
but that's
arm definitely was going
obviously
forward.
Yeah.
Sam's going forward. These backs, man. These backs, and you play Nebraska, you as a running back better be cued in.
If they leave it, it is probably one of those that he just wanted that offense to get some more reps.
I just note the lack of tan on Rule compared to the press conference we saw at the beginning. He's definitely been hitting the golf courses and
is it a golf
Lincoln.
course, or you think is that a spray situation?
Well,
is he getting
I'm
in the
going to
booth?
give him the benefit of the doubt and say it's golf course.
All
That's
right.
more honorable than say
Yeah.
And he's been
he went
spraying.
then he went to get sprayed.
Boy.
That was a pass, gentlemen. Come on, arm was
You
going
know, but
forward.
hey, they're playing it out right.
No, it's not. It's going to get called back.
Turner Corcoran's down.
Michael Booker III picked it up.
That's going to be one. That's going to be closer on the last one. He took a big hit there as he tried to deliver that football.
Let's get a
He
look
does a
on
nice
this.
job escaping the pressure, stepping up in the pocket, and then he just takes a big hit here.
Yep,
That's
ball's
incomplete.
going forward. That's
That's
incomplete.
Worse news for Nebraska, though. Another offensive lineman, Turner Corcoran, being helped to the sideline there by trainers. That is a position that we cannot afford. Teddy Prohaska not practicing with the team this year, coming off the ACL injury last year. You know, as a left tackle, that's a toughest position on the field. But I guess
Really? They didn't overturn that?
No, and I think I remember that vaguely that they let it stand. But
Yeah, I think it was just because it was a spring game.
Okay.
you're
Wow.
79 again.
It's like the red is so far behind. I think they were trying to.
Make them feel better.
Boost you know,
their
this day and age, everyone
Keep
gets
them
a.
off antidepressants.
give 'em a
I mean,
ribbon.
Type of
Yeah.
shit. Yeah, ribbon. Yeah,
Yeah.
come on, because that's what we need.
Yes.
More ribbons for participation.
That's our Helena native. A nice hold right there. If you look at the snap, he's letting his snapper know too.
Looks like penalty declined. We're not gonna re-kick.
the wave off from Matt Rule.
Well, tonight the USFL season continues with the Memphis Showboats taking on the Birmingham Stallions. That's at 7 Eastern, only on Fox. Well, 66,045. We're not going to be deterred by the 40-degree weather here.
Boy, was I off. 66,000 people for the spring game.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's not full. It's not sold out.
No, but
I
that's
see.
a good turnout for
I
a
know,
spring
I
game,
know, I
my
know.
friend.
I mean, I don't know how many charge, but Nebraska charges for a spring game. So some stadiums or some teams, it's free.
Some stadiums you wouldn't go if it was free.
No,
Hey,
they'd have to
true.
pay me to go.
So Blake Road to kick it away. Really like the XFL kickoff format.
So far, I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
That's something I do agree with the announcers here. I could see this becoming the way
Yeah.
for kickoff. It's just a
Yeah.
lot of those injuries. You get a full head of steam up, you're running downfield, and the returners come in. And, you know, and with the injuries the way they are, and the head concussions and neck injuries and things.
I was just thinking, though, one of the things they just mentioned about Colorado, one of our first opponents. What do you guys think about them going back to the Big 12?
I think it'll be a better fit. I'm really concerned about the Pac-8 or
Pac-12 is
8-6
done.
or
They're
whatever
gonna
it's going to be. Yeah,
They could collapse, but I think it's a good move for Colorado.
I do too.
I like going back to that traditional,
Yeah.
that Big 12.
I agree.
My concern is, to be honest, is the Big 10 is getting, it's going to be the Big 20 the way things are going. It's
Well,
just,
they get USC and UCLA in there for sure.
Yeah.
Do you get too big?
Well, that's that whole like 2 super conferences, that idea.
Yep. SEC and the Big 12 or the Big 10.
It's, but yeah, Colorado leaving. The reality of it, Oregon and Washington, in my opinion, are going to go.
You think? Yeah,
I think they're
going to
go somewhere.
Yeah, Utah, Arizona State, Arizona are all going to be there. Washington State, Oregon, and Stanford. Though those are the 2 prominent programs that are going to be left.
I don't know what's going to happen.
They really need to get somebody like a San Diego State or whatever, but they aren't willing to do it.
I do like going to a 12-team playoff. You know, when is that? Is that
I agree.
next year?
More like the old 1AA, the FCS.
What is that this season?
No,
Is that this year?
I think it's next season.
Next season, 24.
I like having the top 16 like the FCS does. I just think that's a nice playoff system because you're pretty sure by the time you get to that second or third round, you have the top quality teams.
Yeah.
Right. That's just because of the math, not really anything else. I would have liked to have seen 16 teams. I mean, when your argument gets to who's the 16th or the 17th team, kind of then it's like, yeah, well, you should have been a little better.
Sure.
Right. But we all know how the top 4 just wasn't appropriate. You had teams in the top 10. There was like a Central Florida that, although the competition wasn't great, they were still going in undefeated. If you're going undefeated, you should at least have a shot.
Right.
Of course, if you're playing the Sunnydale Nursing Home, that's a whole different thing. If that's half your wins.
That's a tough team.
That's a tough team.
By the way.
Yeah.
Senior.
Especially when they throw out their wheelchairs.
Senior
like that.
division.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah.
Man, some whiskey would be nice.
Yeah, Carl.
Could at least brought some of your narcotics.
We're definitely adding the whiskey segment.
We'll ask
You break a couple ribs, you break your sternum, whatever the heck else.
Whatever.
Yeah. Suddenly we can't have our
Hey,
whiskey.
you don't see these young men hobbling off with broken sternums.
Yeah.
They're not dumb enough to be on a 4-wheeler.
That's true.
That's quite a problem.
We should probably explain that Carl, yes, for those who are listening, Carl decided to move some rocks with his body flying from his
I decided
4-wheeler.
excavation with my 4-wheeler.
At a very low
and body
reasonable
parts.
speed, I understand.
It was a very low reason.
Wasn't
very
very
low.
fast
It was
at
not
all.
speeding.
When I hear the story, I think that the ATV must have been like, what was that car that was possessed? Was it Christine? Christine, yeah. Your ATV, we'll just call it Christine.
Right.
Well,
You
something
better
like
get
that.
a priest to do an exorcist or something
before
you ride it again.
Pastor Trudeau is going to be doing an exorcism on the 4-wheeler as he puts it back together and welds the parts back. But
make sure he gets the demon out, whatever.
yes,
Yeah.
no. It's keeping me behind.
Do they have like a safety harness type thing? Is there something you could do to, provide a little something for you?
Well, they have these things. What do they call them?
It's called a razor. Don't do that. Yeah.
Wait, that thing? Oh, it's a helmet.
Helmet.
A helmet.
Interesting.
That's one
Okay.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, helmet. No, there are no head injuries here.
How about those things? The bull riders wear a
Oh,
big
yeah,
vest.
See, that's
thing.
what a
what-
rib protector. I
yeah.
should have. Of course, I went right over the handlebars. That's what did the damage to me was the handlebars.
As the nurse said, as you're, as I'm there watching you get worked on, I don't think it's big enough to do anything with.
Yeah, well,
It's pretty small.
and they were talking about a head injury there, Rick. Get your mind out of the gutter.
Exactly.
Get your, get
Sure
your
they
mind out of
were.
the gutter.
Sure they were.
Sims drops back. Quick over the middle. Was it caught? No, incomplete.
Yeah, you are lucky. The first doc, I actually liked him, by the way, but he's like, yeah, you can just shave it. And he's going out to it. She goes, well, do you really think I need to shave it? He says, just do whatever you think is best.
Yeah, there you
Yeah.
go.
You didn't get your head shaved.
I didn't get my head shaved, so I'm very happy about that. And those staples came right out when I went to the doctor Monday.
Oh, did they?
Oh yeah, it just pulled right out.
Oh, here
look
we
at
go.
how- Coach Osborne.
Osborne, three-time national champion.
I love that man.
How old now? 90?
Gotta
Near
be-
90?
Yeah, it's probably pretty close.
Yeah, he's in his 80s. I mean, I was so happy for him when he got his national championships in the 90s. I mean, he was so close in 83. I think going for the 2-point conversion to get the outright win. Otherwise, he would have never, his team would never been defeated. It would have been tied. He still would have got the national championship. That was the safe play. And I remember then, Florida State almost beating them and falling short by the field goal. And so it was a big deal when he got that first national championship.
And you know what? Football didn't seem to age him. Politics seemed to take its toll.
Politics,
on him.
yeah.
Yeah.
But he's still a voice of reason in that program, and Coach Rule talks highly of his conversations
Sure.
There is Purdy. They'll pull it down.
with Coach Osborne.
Brings up third down for the Red Squad, looking to get on the board here near the end of the second quarter.
You've seen a little bit different philosophy the last couple plays here.
I do hope Sims stays healthy. I mean, we've not had in the past several years a quarterback stay healthy the whole season, and that is the one thing that concerns me with the quarterbacks leaving. And so I hope Purdy and/or Harburg can definitely be a solid, number 2 and 3.
They're gonna have to be, yeah. And
I
I'm-
think they're going to get some playing time.
Purdy under pressure again, steps up. Flips it
Nice.
to the flat. Not much running room for him at Johnson after
Yeah, a
the
lot of
carry.
questions this year, but staying healthy is important. Hanging on to the football is going to be critical for them. They're
No.
not going to be good enough to make a lot of mistakes.
No onside kicks.
And I'm
Yeah.
not
With
not
the lead.
never, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
when you're ahead.
unless you're about a minute left in the game and you're down, then it could
Maybe.
be acceptable.
Well, and
Pretty good lead
even
at
the
the start.
execution of it, even if you're gonna kick it, try not to just drill it to the good hands guy. And
You can get so many live reps in practice, but Hail Mary here, how does the defense make sure you're lined up on defense? You don't want to go up for the interceptions, right? Bat the ball down, but also I was part of the Hail Mary one down here for Western Camp. It can happen. It's part of
How about the Northwestern situation?
Wow.
Speaking
Tell me.
of Dublin and the game from last year,
Yeah.
but
Think about a school as prestigious as Northwestern with their academics and everything to have that stuff going on with the hazing. That
you would-
doesn't look good.
no, you would have thought that would have been gone years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I haven't really heard the details of the hazing, but it sounds like it wasn't good, and it sounds like it was well known.
Yeah, and
Oh, the head coach
additional
definitely
kids are
knew.
coming forward now. And
Yeah.
black eye for sure.
Discipline in your rush lanes.
So what will rush three? Flipped out of
I think they should have to vacate wins from last year, including the first one. Think of that could change Nebraska's outlook completely.
Frost might be back.
Yeah,
Might be
they'll be
back.
hiring
Bring
back.
Coach Frost back. We won in Ireland.
Sorry, Coach
We got
Rule.
it.
Yeah, we're
Sorry.
bringing him back.
We're sorry.
Well, the first half is in the books.
Got to clean up the turnovers and the drop balls, and those are things that need to get addressed at half and really come out clean and be a little more cleaner with the football here in the second half.
All right, I'm jumping ahead.
Are we going to have a little Grizz update from Carl? What are we looking?
What are you looking at from me? I want to know who's going to be quarterback.
Well,
I know we have a.
you need year to year. You never know. I mean, it's not like we're
Bobby brings
developing
in
somebody.
whatever transfers out there. He seems like to break in and never been real good about growing homegrown development.
Anything, yes.
No.
And he's that's in his brother.
Well,
this
that's
year.
a good one.
That's
Tim-
probably
Tim
helpful.
is-
Yeah.
What's he going to coach?
in the defensive box, I
Bobby?
believe.
Okay.
Yes. You know what? That could be his most important role. Take him outside
Somebody
and
needs
beat
to-
him up, get into a
like
little
when they
brotherly
were
fight.
kids
Yes,
back in
exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. It's hard to tell. It's we'll know that first game when they play Butler, the Butler Bulldogs, on September 2nd, on what they'll look like. But it's they'll have good defense. They'll have good linebackers. They always do.
Bobcats are picked to win the Big Sky, I think.
And the Grizz are
Really?
picked third. And I think Weber is second. I'm not sure. I think it's Weber that's second.
You know,
Cats are going to be good.
Cats, Sac State, their head coach, who had done such a wonderful job down there in the last few years, moved over to Cal, I think, is where he's going to be. So.
That's going to be a rebuild for them.
Right.
And Carl, you have your season tickets
I do.
to the Grizz?
I do. We'll be going for sure.
It is a fun place to watch a game.
It's a great
nice
stadium.
stadium.
Great program.
25,000
About
seats?
25, 26. And
Great environment.
Wonderful.
Lot of
generate a lot of noise.
Yeah.
Of course, such a small stadium just because of the.
Well, and as you can tell, I'm not a huge fan of the current head coach, and if he doesn't turn things around this season, I think he may be a former head coach. But the facility, the history of the program, the fan base, the stadium, just all of it, it's an amazing FCS level program in many respects. And, recruiting kids, you should be bringing in some of the best FCS level kids out there.
Well, and they do. I mean, the kid from Boise State, I can't remember his name. Is it Seidless? I can't remember.
Okay.
But the kid from Boise State is a transfer quarterback. He looked pretty good in the spring game, so I think he'll. But we'll see. I mean, the receivers, the running backs, the line, that's all going to depend on it. It really is.
Special teams will be starting over. Patrick Rohrbach moved on.
Yeah.
He did an amazing job this last season.
Yeah, they're going to be back at it, or they're not going to have. They've been incredibly lucky the last two punters they've had have been led the nation as freshmen.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't ask much more than that, but they haven't stuck around either, so that's pretty telling as well.
That's all tonight, only on Big Ten Network and the Fox Sports app.
Well, coming from a state that we just had, really, Nebraska football, I did not understand the in-state rivalry situation. And Montana has a significant in-state rivalry between,
Cats and Grizz.
Yeah.
Right
I always said, okay, if the Grizz are going further in the playoffs, the whole state will get behind them. But the Cats are going further in the playoffs, the whole state will get behind them. No.
Nope.
Nope. Nope.
No, I must admit I was a South Dakota State fan. Last weekend in October last year, or November.
I think they
December,
missed the
whatever it was.
mark on these white, workout things that they had. I don't know.
Yeah.
Looks like they're PJs. I just think
but
that
also,
should have
it's
looked a
just so
little.
hard to keep clean. I mean,
Now this outfit's better. Maybe they could all wear the corn.
I
suit.
think
Yes.
we need to get a corn outfit,
Yeah.
and I'll be the one wearing it.
You'll
I'd
wear
be
the
happy
corn
to wear
outfit?
it. It'll look good on you. Put some padding around the
They've
ribs.
got some padding. It might be good for your
might be
ATV.
good for my ribs.
Right.
Yes.
Win again, showing up on a nice push play there up the middle. He's able to push the right guard back, shed him, and make a play on A.J. Allen.
Wynn Jr., transfer from Alabama.
Tight end position looks good. We got depth there for
Yeah.
sure coming up. I think linebacker crew. We've got a big loss there, the graduation and whatnot. But sounds like they got some good talent coming in all across our defense.
Yeah, and the whole new defensive scheme this year is going to be interesting.
Torres drops back. Completion over the middle. Caught by Elliott.
I've never been one to argue
For a short
we
gain,
should do this,
25
philosophy or this philosophy. I mean, that is ultimately just on the coach. So They just gotta be successful.
Right.
You know.
Well, I'm not a huge Al Davis fan, never was, but he was right. It just win, baby. It's really what it comes down to. We've heard that here too. It's just at some point you have to just put some W's in the column.
And that's not from, I like Coach Rule setting the standards for the program and looking after the young men and all of that, their needs, you know, making sure, you know, I'm not saying your team members should be out getting crazy and doing all kinds of stuff, and you forgive that. What I'm saying is, I don't care what scheme you run. At the end of the day, you decide what scheme, and then it's just got to be effective. It's on you.
As a brotherhood and live out the process.
Number one goal there, the improved strength and mobility.
Just like we were talking about earlier, using a fullback to get that short yardage, and you brought up, well, sometimes it's so, yeah, whatever the coach decides, but they better be able to get that yard when they need it.
Right.
That's it, bottom line.
Sport athletes that play baseball, basketball, track, but these kids are specializing so much more that they're coming in and they've only ever played football. So you talk about functional movement, making sure they can control their own body weight.
I like what Coach Rule's doing at these camps, too, and that's sometimes easy to miss. You know, bringing in a lot of kids from Nebraska and surrounding states, and his coaches, he and his coaches are at the camps, and then they're doing the visits, and so I'm sure that's some really long weekends for them. Where I understand in a lot of programs, you know, you get your assistant coaches and things like that to handle the camps, and the coaches really aren't looking at them. And in this case, he said they found a lot, you know, several kids with the speed and physical ability to play at this level, where they never would have really seen them before if his coaches and he wasn't out there.
Right.
And that's why they made all those offers coming out of those camps.
Well, and he is working in-state hard. I mean, he's working Nebraska.
You have to.
Yeah.
Nebraska,
I got
Nebraska
family.
should not lose a Nebraska kid.
No, but it's been happening, which
I
is
know.
frustrating.
That's the point.
That's why I have family in Ainsworth that I call them like, are you down at the school? Are you down? I should have given them a warning. They would have been down there. We've been videoing it for us, so we could have had that.
Very nice.
Yeah. But I'm happy we got that kid. Plus, just the sometimes I felt good that we were going to get him, because from Ainsworth, if you're going to fly to any other, he had offers at Alabama and stuff like that. But if his parents want to see him play, they got to drive several hours to get on a plane for a several-hour trip to Alabama.
Sure.
And that's not happening without a few NCAA violations occurring.
Right. and so it made sense to me.
You heard
that
it
he
here
chose.
first, folks. Yeah, Alabama's being suspended, Carl. You must have some insider info there.
Coach Harbaugh, recruiting violations, you never know what that looked like. You know, you don't know the details. You never know.
Let's not make any unfounded allegations on the podcast. I'm not sure exactly what my insurance.
Those views expressed by Carl are
not
his
necessarily
alone representative
of the podcast.
We know they were a recruiting
or the other two
violation.
Yeah.
We don't know the extent of it, but
Very true.
Try to take the top off it with bets. Haven't seen that yet.
We've had a couple where, you know, right after the turnover.
Did we talk about Little Red already? Did I mention
we
it?
did.
No, what about Little Red? You're
I just
supportive,
think
you're
it's
fan.
I'm not a big fan. I'm
What?
not a big fan.
What if?
Is he on the sideline today?
What if the staff offered you get free to every game? You just have to do the first half as Little Red.
I'd do Herbie, but I couldn't. No, Little Red
You
thing.
can do Little Red?
No.
What if they said, we will not only give you free admittance, but we will fly you here in a private jet and pay you $1,000 a game?
Some things you can't put a price on.
You're trying
Everything?
to stay strong.
Everything?
I'm saying $10,000 a game, private plane to Lincoln, and you have to wear the Little Red costume.
And you are anonymous, right? No one knows.
Yeah, no one's going to know it's you.
Okay, well, yeah. I might consider it if it's anonymous, but I still think we...
Well, if you did that, I would find a way to expose
That's
you.
my fear. There we go.
We would make you wear the Little Red costume for one of our episodes.
Absolutely.
And it would freak me out.
Matter of fact, we'd make you wear
Do they
wear
have
it
just
to the
the
bar.
hat, like the hat, a little red hat or something?
Yeah.
It does just seem like one of those things that several years ago made sense, and now it's like,
Several years ago, being what, 83 years ago, it made sense.
I mean,
it's a blow up.
blow-up thing. That's what I'm saying.
It's a big balloon like
Yeah.
that. Right?
Yeah, if you want to keep, maybe just make it a balloon and tie it down. That's good throw. I mean, he had to get around those defenders.
Well, we're on mascots. Monty. Now there's a
Love
quality.
Monty.
There, Monty is one heck of an athletic.
No, I love it.
He does a great job.
When they
and-
had the Husker at the beginning, when the mascot on the Harley,
Sure.
Monty does that.
Monty
better.
coming in.
Monty does that better than just about anybody.
That's true.
Yeah.
He does a heck of
No.
a job.
The Veterans Day or Armed Services
Yep.
Day when he does the backflip off the
Yep.
Humvee. is
University of
impressive.
Montana has a great mascot, for sure. I forgot how much of this game Sims actually played.
I think they have to get him the reps.
Oh, I agree.
They have
yeah.
to. I mean,
You know, they kept asking him in-depth questions like his thing, like how long did it take him to memorize the names of his teammates? How did he do it?
Favorite ice cream,
Yeah.
that type of thing. Yeah. Those probing, need to know questions.
Deep,
Yeah.
in-depth
Yeah.
questions. Yeah.
Sharp dresser. All,
Very,
all
yeah.
black suit, black tie.
I liked it. No, he's an imposing looking young man.
Inside the 20 down to about the 18-yard line for Kemp. That'll bring up
It will be good having him as our front guy.
Kemp's had a good game, and I think he's a player we're going to see, aren't we, coming up this year?
I think so
He's,
too.
he's pretty small. It depends on how
Well,
much he
yeah,
can take the
but he's-
damage that the
Yeah.
hits.
Yeah, but he looks. I mean, he's certainly tough enough in this game, and sometimes being a small guy, you're not standing out.
Absolutely true. If no one could get a straight-on shot at you.
Wasn't Danny Woodhead? He was a Nebraska high school
Shadron.
kid, right?
Well, and he played for Shadron State.
Oh,
Set all the records there.
Or some of the running backs, like K-State seems to get these little guys that
Yeah.
can bounce. No one gets a direct shot at them. You know, that's a key.
I don't know the story why Danny Woodhead never got pursued by the Cornhuskers, but I do love his NFL commercial where he's in that sporting goods store trying to sell Danny Woodhead jerseys, and one guy's like, "No, that guy's too small." It's pretty funny. Some people recognized it, but most didn't.
no, went on to have a real good career in the NFL.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm afraid, especially like the combines when you're going to the NFL or some of these college, they miss a lot of good players because they're real
True.
stuck on height,
The size.
weight, the
Yeah.
size. the
Think of
speed.
the Doug Flutys of the world.
Yeah.
You know, Flutie had to go up to Canada, could never get a shot in the NFL, and then it's not about the size.
You do wonder how many of the Hall of Fame members would not qualify, wouldn't
Right.
pass today's combine.
Well, the NFL, I mean, GOAT of all quarterbacks.
Yeah,
What did you
perfect
say? He
example.
was
Not a
7th
physical-
round out of
he was
Michigan?
7th round and did not look good in the pictures with in his briefs.
Right.
Did not have a body of a professional athlete.
You saw pictures of him
Well,
in his
everyone did.
briefs?
It was at the combine, you fool.
I'm sorry, I missed pictures of him in his briefs.
Everyone's seen him because he didn't. It wasn't.
Yeah, we're going to minimize the name calling. Okay,
Yeah.
Well, you haven't heard anything yet.
Carl,
Wait
it's
till-
okay.
wait till
If
the
you
ribs-
just let something
Wait
slip,
till
it's
the
all
ribs
right.
fix and the bourbon kicks in. We're gonna get some name calling.
Yeah, we cannot laugh. We have to be very serious. What was that Friday night or Saturday night live skit with the two ladies? They're all
Oh,
very
yes.
monotone
Oh, yeah,
and everything.
yeah.
That's what we have to be right now because we can't make Carl laugh.
We're trying to
Carl laughs.
maintain.
Carl's gonna cry if he does that. So
Numerous broken ribs, broken sternum. Laughter is not the best medicine.
no, it's not.
I know we've said it before, but I sure like the under center we're mixing it up in the spring game here. So. A lot of different looks. Last season just seemed like we got awfully predictable in our play calling.
To maybe come back, and so when you add all that up, it just kind of made sense for me to do it, and I'm really glad that I did.
I know you've had a chance to connect with former players.
That is awesome. He came back.
Yeah. Some of your former Southeast players when you coached here in high school before coming here as the running backs coach.
Yeah, I've run into some guys from Holy Name here where I coached high school ball, and Southeast,
number 77.
Southeast, we had a group of players that I got together with while here in town this week. We went out and had dinner, and so it's all been good.
That's part of the deal. When we were listening to Coach Roll earlier, those are the relationships that matter for a lifetime. And when you have the right coach, you have a good coach, cares about you as a person more than just wins and losses.
Right.
Like Frank here's talking about kids from his high school days that they still get together.
Yeah.
Developing a togetherness, a brotherhood, developing a culture and a program that is going to be meaningful to all, not just you as your staff, but it's going to be meaningful to the players, and it's going to just spread, and it's going to allow you to, I think, be the best you can be on the field with your players, and then also it's going to allow you to recruit well, and I think those are all things that are really ahead for Nebraska that are going to be positives.
You've been away from the game almost about a year and a half, almost 2 years now. How has that been like for you, the transition of being away from coaching?
It's not been fun. I'm struggling with retirement.
Gets in your blood, I guess, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I love the game. And
happy for the success he had.
Competition involved in it, and I love being around players and coaches, and all that's kind of gone now, But in any case, I sit at home and watch a lot of TV on Saturday, and I'm making all kind of good decisions on Saturday from the couch.
Gotcha.
But
that's our job here in the booth now.
That's right.
We get to make all the good decisions.
Some games. I get to some of Boise State's games, and I get back to see Coach Albin and his Ohio Bobcats and their games, So I'm doing some traveling, seeing a lot of football.
Tell me what that moment was like early in the game, kind of the nod to old number 45, opening play. They brought the football. Talk about that.
Yeah, Coach told me that they were going to start using a fullback here, which I don't know that they've done that for a long, long time, But yeah, the first
pass due. Glad they're doing it.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool moment.
And I think it picked up about 8 yards or so, So it was a great start. And then Coach took the time to walk the ball over to me, So it was a great moment for me.
It must be great being back, Coach.
Yeah, it really is. Just renewed so many friendships, and there's a lot of great people here in the state. Obviously, you have the sellout record continuing to go on, and that's because the fans are so supportive of the university and of the sport of football here, and so it's good to be around it again, and it's kind of brought back some enthusiasm to me.
Coach, I know that spring football is not the real Husker game day, but I know you said you're going to come back in the fall. What was your favorite part of Husker game day when you were here as a player or as a head coach? I mean, you got to experience so many games. What was your favorite part?
Well, usually was when it ended and we were on the winning side, But I just enjoyed the camaraderie, and we used the word brotherhood here earlier. That develops amongst players and amongst coaches, and I think that's one of the most important parts of the game, that brotherhood can kind of keep going long after your playing days, as you well know, and you get a continual chance at hearing from players that you played with, that you were part of coaching, and so it's it's a great profession, and I wouldn't trade it for anything.
One of the announcements that was made here at halftime is the new locker room. In the brand new facility is going to be named the Frank Solich locker room. Talk about that.
Well, I think that's great, and I think that's for me appropriate to have it
the locker room.
My name on a locker room. Actually, when I got the head job, I tried to get one right away for our players. Didn't get it done, so it's kind of, I got it done now with a name on it. So that's great.
I think one of the plays you will always be associated with was Black Flash 41 reverse pass, right? Against Oklahoma when you outcoached Bob Stoops in that win in the win here at Memorial.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I outcoached Bob Stoops. He's a great coach and a great friend.
Yeah. Talk about that and what memories you have, from those days in that great run to the Rose Bowl that you had as well. And
yeah, we really had a very good football team, and we knew it was going to be a close, tight ball game, and so we had a few tricks up our sleeve, and the timing of that one just worked out perfectly. We had just gotten the first down, and ran the play. We knew we had a chance because it seemed to be set up, and anytime you get the ball in Eric Crouch's hands, you're going to have a shot, and whether he's carrying it from the quarterback or taking it from a handoff on a reverse, or whether he receives a pass like in that one. So, it worked well and gave us enough momentum to go on and win the game.
Let's take a look at the play. Let's go back.
An
Oklahoma tried to
interception
run
there.
it earlier in the game.
Yeah.
This is quite a play.
They didn't execute, and this was perfectly executed.
Yeah.
As loud as I've heard.
Yeah, no one's going to catch Couch.
No, that kid could fly. No doubt.
That team was a great football team. A lot of really great players on it. But, Eric Crouch symbolizes what Nebraska football is about. He's not the biggest guy in the world, but he's among the toughest. And
He would, as a quarter, he would. You go to tackle him, he would punish you.
Put your head down, yeah.
Which is so important to Nebraska football back in those days.
Well, you think about it. He goes to the NFL, not as a quarterback.
Right.
Plays defensive back.
Right.
That's an athlete.
Trip to Texas, and we were doing the show, and we were watching the video and replay, and you saw Kwame Brown grab the back of Mike Brown's jersey. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And you pounded that desk about as hard, and your bottom lip started quivering. You remember, that's one of those you don't forget, right?
Yeah. There's a lot of plays you don't forget. Some of them positive, some of them not positive, but that's definitely one of them.
I'm going to say there's some uniform confusion on this last play.
Did you know? I caught that too.
Yeah.
That was a guy in red.
I think he
tackling the guy in red.
He needs to throw a white pullover on or something. If he's gonna be out there.
I really look forward to
That really confused me there for a minute.
Thanks, Frank.
All right, thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Coach, looking forward to seeing you in the fall.
Buddy. Thank you.
Traitor.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's been kind of this collective pit in the stomach, if you will, of Nebraska football, Nebraska fans.
Nice comments from Frank there. That was awesome.
He's a great ambassador for the game in Nebraska, that's for sure.
Yeah, he reminds me a little bit of Coach Green down from Montana Tech.
Oh, from Butte? Yeah.
That maybe doesn't have the sharp wit that Green has, but just the look of him.
Some of the Greenisms that come out of that
just
man's
hilarious.
mouth.
That guy.
Integral role that Coach Rule played in getting him back here.
There's
Extremely important.
some material out on the internet that you can see of some of his best quotes.
I usually get to golf with Coach Green at least once a year, and I've gone on the tech trip to Jackpot with him. It's not just on the football field.
Still hilarious
That's his personality.
Yeah.
I mean, everything is a Greenism. Everything comes out of that man's mouth. He's a neat guy.
On the ground again, it's still
Lord.
loose. Picked up and recovered by the red.
Yeah, he's got a quote there about punting on first down. It was the best play they had or something.
Yeah.
Coming out onto the field. There is Nebraska Director of Athletics Trev Alberts with Coach.
Got to give Albert some credit too. He stepped up, made some tough decisions last season in the middle of everything. And
He did.
Well, yeah, he got thrown into it.
I don't know that he had a choice. It was
No, but a
getting
lot of
pretty
times
bad,
the
but-
AD goes down with the rest of them. So he definitely did a good job.
Yeah, he was interesting in his interviewed at the Big Ten Media Days recently, and he talked about when he interviewed Coach Rule, just having to explain to him and make sure it was clear, like Nebraska's not like most places that you'll be under so much more scrutiny. And there's a lot of press personnel covering Nebraska football. Sure. You just don't see that at most places.
Right.
And even Sims said he was shocked how well known he was all around town and all,
Sure.
that it was just surprising to him.
Well, they've got podcasts all the way in Helena, Montana now.
I know. There we go. Yeah. Number one Nebraska podcast in the state of Montana.
At least in Mountain View Meadows. That's the number one podcast in this area of town.
Another turnover, ladies and gentlemen.
Another turnover. Yeah.
This white offense here. Ben Hart, Lutovsky, Ben Scott, Ethan Piper.
There's a few names I'm not recognizing, so I'm assuming we've got some number 3s out there and 2s.
So that's kind of the one offensive line with the new inside guy.
Yeah, I think at this point they're having some fun.
Harburg hands it off. Here is Grant again, leans forward.
We say that, and then here's Grant running forward with it.
Yeah.
Good hard run off the outside. That's one thing you know you're going to get with Grant. He's going to put his foot in the ground. He's going to get north and south, and he's going to finish the ball going forward. He proved it time and time again. Almost 1,000 pressure for the Huskers last year.
Got the Minnesota game. It's going to be tough going to Minnesota.
Sure.
And then that Colorado game is it's really going to be somewhat monumental because you will not be able to avoid the comparisons. So first year coach. There's so much interest with Dion and what's going on with the program. I know it's reinvigorated Colorado. And so, I mean, I just really hope we come away with a win on that one.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun game to watch, though, because it's resurgence of two programs. I mean, I had the privilege of being in Denver, and I liked watching what Bill McCartney did with the Buffaloes in the early 90s when they were co-national champions and they beat Michigan, that type of stuff. It's nice to see these programs come back, and it's going to be a great one because two programs are trying to rebound, so it's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, I was in the student section of the stands when Nebraska played Colorado one year in the mid-'90s, and first play from scrimmage, they ran 80 yards, Nebraska for a touchdown. It took all my verbal judo to stay alive in the student section in my Husker paraphernalia.
Oh, I'm sure.
Like, come on, this is all we got. Come on, you got like 3 great college teams, 5 professional teams. I said, well, the Nuggets, so maybe 4. But now that they've, time changes everything.
A major beer producer.
Yeah, you've got a lot of great stuff. So.
Well, I don't know. How do you think we look 4 games in? Are we 4-0? Are we 0-4, 2-2? What? Any thoughts, predictions? Pretty hard. We haven't seen them on the field.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think when we start seeing them come together in fall camp here, get a better idea of what Nebraska's going to have, and then also start looking at some of our first opponents a little closer. I had watched their spring games. I'd recorded their spring games, but.
What's your thoughts on Minnesota? Or are they going to be this year?
Minnesota's, I think, going to be hard. Going to be tough. I mean,
they're a bowl team. I mean, they're not going to win it, but they're going to get. They're typically going to be 6, 7, or 7 or 8 wins. They're going to be a bowl team, but.
Well, it will be interesting to see what comes out, if anything more, with the whole thing about what's been going on there. Because that one has popped up too in the last week.
Okay.
Right.
Will that be a distraction, or will that just fade away quickly?
Well, I do think we'll have a pretty good sense after a couple of games if we've improved, and if so, how much. And
I think you'll know the difference by halftime of the first game. I do. I think as far as preparedness. And I think that's the key. I mean, I think Rule is going to have the team prepared.
Ready to go.
And I think that's huge.
Yeah. I mean, I can't ever. So I think one of the things we will do is kind of before each game give predictions. But I think you guys can give some honest predictions. And I'm always just going to be Huskers will win.
Well,
I can't help it. But
Kool-Aid was invented in Nebraska. No doubt about that.
I'm not going to be that unrealistic. But what I'm looking for is steady improvement.
Yeah,
respect. looking for respect, right? Is that what we're?
Well, and that
coaches
is
say?
it. I mean, if we went in and had a respectable game at Minnesota, regardless of how it turns out, and we win at Colorado, I think we're off to a good start.
I'd say you're off to a great start.
Yeah, if we whatever happens, don't do well at Minnesota, and if we lose that game in Colorado,
It's going to be a long year.
Yeah, it's going to be gut punch.
He's a ping pong champion. How about that? He said that he is just running the tables there, and I loved it. We said, Coach, why ping pong? Because he has ping pong tables in there. He goes, it forces you to set your phone down and build a connection with someone else. He said he's got guys challenging him from the janitorial staff, from the cooking staff, and he said that he's been able to go through it and just continue to go. And that Purdy's actually.
What are you doing? That quarterback needs to kind of get down.
Beat him on the ping pong table.
I love it. I love it, Carl.
I know, but you don't want to get injured. You don't want to get injured in the spring game.
These quarterbacks in Nebraska aren't China dolls.
Clearly.
You have an event where the moms tackle the sons, and a dinner with the players, the social last night with Solich, and then you see the Heisman.
What I hate to see is when third and whatever, you just need that first down, could be second, whatever, and they'll slide. They could have just ducked and went forward, got that first down.
That is a day. I think Coach Rule is also just so humbled that he has the
You
opportunity.
do got to be, aware, field awareness, where you're at, what's the situation, game awareness.
As long as you get that first down, it doesn't matter if you get 10 more yards after that. You got to get that first down.
Those type of events and those type of days that are why he took.
And I've seen last year, sometimes that would happen on second down and slid and so close, and then you think, okay, we'll get it on third, and then not get it. It's like, dang it.
Him in here under the radar and have him experience that Lincoln day where no one knew he was here, and he just fell in love with this place all over again, which is very much why we have the recruits come in, because you think Lincoln's a one-stoplight town. It's not. It's one of the coolest places in the country.
There's Grant again. Tries to cut it up. Good job defensively. Yeah, he has talked repeatedly about how much he likes this situation.
New turf is in. No more of the two-tone. And also practice fields have been changed to grass.
Yep.
So no more turf. Of course, they've got the inside indoor facility with the turf.
Yeah, I guess Coach Rule really wanted that for injury issues.
Cut down on injuries.
But with the new facility bringing in, with the ability to bring in, you're seeing big recruits showing up here on campus.
Coach was saying, as far as the move in, his priority is to get the athletes into their locker rooms and then get them into the treatment area, whatever the rehab or whatever, and get into that like as soon as possible.
I know they were hoping to have it all up and running, but I don't think it's going to be completely ready to go until probably after the season.
Great defensive play there by Gage.
Good tackle.
That's a great tackle.
Yeah.
Get back, coaches.
Not much there in the handoff.
Emma Johnson, young back.
Well, there's not 66,000 in there now, that's for sure.
No, it looks like it's cut down a little bit. Where are we at?
This is the fourth quarter. So.
All right.
The Wisconsin Badgers, Luke Fickell's Badgers in action at Camp Randall next, only on the Big Ten Network and the Fox Sports app.
It's going to be interesting what Wisconsin looks like this year. It's not going to be the Wisconsin that we are used to seeing by any means. Luke Fickell up there bringing the spread back a little bit.
Gained about 6 yards on the carry.
Elliott Brown with the nice end around there. Same thing you saw with Billy Kemp earlier in the third.
Got a lot of
back the other way again. This is
comments
just keeping
from
the defense
some of
honest,
the
respecting the edges,
players
make
up
sure
at the
those
Big
DNs
Ten
have something
media
to think
about
They're not just rushing up
the
field,
significance of
closing
that
down on the
last
outside
win
tackle or
at
tight end.
Iowa.
Gotta keep it
That
contained.
at least it really set the tone for a lot of them after a very disappointing season. It reminded them what it was like to win and be, be winners. And it's nice that they finished on that.
Have to have something positive to go into the next season with the off season.
With everything that was going on. And
oh yeah,
my goodness.
There, if you look over the right side of the offensive line there, it's an empty set. They bring 4 guys, there are 3 guys off the edge there, and you can't block all of them. So that's going to be, again, you bring empty, you send 6, you're telling the quarterback he's got to have answers. If they don't
Gotta
have
say, I do love that tradition there at Iowa, though, the Children's Hospital right on the field.
What a great tradition that is.
That is.
Waving to the kids and
Yep.
back and forth.
That's awesome.
That's about as cool as it gets.
Yeah, that has to brighten their day.
Here's our Helena native.
As personnel comes in late.
Another one. Here he goes. Nope. Nope. Was that another one where they were?
Yeah,
He was the only one that was
according
told?
to rule. Yes.
You know,
He
that's-
whispers to him back there to go ahead and.
It's quite a setup for the poor punter, I tell you.
Yeah,
Well,
because
and if he holds his block a little bit,
there's one guy to
Brian's
block.
probably
and he-
got it. But
yeah,
Not a terrible athlete. He can get out in space and make something out, but you're not going to ask him to make a defensive end miss.
No, that's.
at least he was having some fun.
big smile,
yeah.
big smile coming up.
Nebraska next year opens the season against a couple of Power 5.
Now on the flip side, 93 misses that tackle,
Oh, well,
and he's
of
got to
course.
live with the fact that the punter just juked him out. And, for
Yeah,
the
that'd
rest
be
of the-
rough.
I think he. Bushini should have done the old stiff arm like a McAfee, like McAfee used to do when he would do it with the Colts.
Oh, he is a big Pat McAfee fan for sure. yeah.
McAfee's awesome. He's fun to watch.
Well, here we go.
Boy, there's a good chance they could go 3-1 to start the season.
See, and
They're
I'm going to
winnable
drink more
games.
Kool-Aid than you, and I'm gonna say we go in undefeated with Michigan. Now, I'm not saying we beat Michigan. I mean, it'd be nice too, obviously, but
I think Minnesota's going to be tough. But the next 3, I think, are very winnable. If they went 3-1, that'd be pretty damn good, I think.
Yeah, I wish we opened with Northern Illinois. And just to give them a chance to mesh a little bit.
should have been a flag on that one, I think.
Yeah,
You got to turn around
back.
on that
Right,
ball.
he was
It
guardian.
just-
He was
yeah.
back guardian.
Oh, if I remember, yeah, my nephew and his son were at the spring game, and he said it was freezing. I mean,
Looks
they
cold.
sent me some pictures. It was really, really cold. So the fact that there were 66,000 people there
In that weather,
in that weather, because it was cold, and now you know why the stands have kind of cleaned out a
Sure.
little bit.
No doubt.
You know, the last time I went to a game, I rode the bus with family members from Omaha, a party bus, and me and my nephew went into the stadium, but a bunch of them just went around and watched the game and had a great time in Lincoln around the campus, and I would like to do that again.
Yeah, I mean, for people listening in, if you get a chance to go out there for a game, it's an amazing experience. And really, downtown Lincoln, around the stadium, it's really a neat area.
Yeah, it is.
And the night games with the red lights, and it's quite something.
No. Yeah.
That's got to be concerning. I don't know. I'm not saying he's going to lose a job, but it's just got to be consistent with that.
Yeah. I had a great experience. I got to What are you doing, Carl? Settle down.
Just calm down.
How come you keep moving your mic all the time? Can't you just settle down?
I'm trying to get comfortable. I'm wounded. I'm wounded, Rick.
You are.
Be a little compassion, okay?
Yeah,
I'm trying to find a position that doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
In Carl's defense, if you could see the knot on his leg right now.
I had to bite my tongue. I was ready to say that's what she said.
It is the size of a softball.
Yeah, we might have to
slap
show
my
that.
big old hematoma up outside your head.
Goodness.
But in the waiting moments of the game, I was invited to the USC game by Brent Musburger and his crew, and got to guest of ABC, got to see how they do the broadcast, got to go down to the broadcast van where they pick this camera, that camera. Really cool. Spent the time on the sideline with Keanu Reeves, and I talked to him a couple times, just even asked a couple things, but he was super focused on the game, USC fan, obviously.
Right.
And people would recognize him. He would come up, take pictures with them. He was super polite to them. And I gained a lot of respect for that guy, just the way he handled himself and was just like a fan, just there for the game.
Sure.
Now, in contrast, at halftime, or just after halftime, Will Ferrell comes down in the second half, and he's in with the actual team and he's all decked out in gear, and, he's just larger than life, and so he was funny too, and being able to see him there, but I was super impressed with Keanu Reeves, just like you wouldn't have known if you didn't recognize him. He was acting just like a fan.
I've heard that about him.
That he's genuinely a good guy, nice guy.
Yeah.
Did Ferrell suit up for the game? He's done some
as
baseball games.
He's dressed as the Trojan.
Yeah.
Oh, he's Tommy. Huh?
Yeah, he is.
That's classic.
He did some charity baseball spring game, I think. Or
he did for the Angels.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Well, he was trading around, wasn't he? Different teams.
But he's done batting practice and stuff with the Angels and a couple others. It's kind of fun.
He's a big guy. I mean, he's a big fellow.
Obviously awesome at his craft. He's incredibly funny.
Maybe on the podcast future.
Yeah, maybe we'll get him on the podcast one of these days.
We'll start working on that right away.
Will Ferrell, if you're listening, feel free to let us know, and we'll give you a call.
Carl's seat could be vacant.
Carl, see if
he keeps moving it, keeps shifting all around.
Or I just need another seat for my hematoma.
Yeah, we'll get you 2 chairs.
We'll interview the hematoma.
Hematoma.
Yeah, if it keeps growing, it'd be like if you got on an airline right now, you'd have to buy 2 tickets.
Over the middle, complete to John Goodwin, who pulls it in. Goodwin, a gain of.
Yeah, one thing, because I was this kid, some of these players, this might be their only chance to get out there with anyone in the stands. And, if you're a mom or dad or a fan, and it's pretty exciting for everybody that gets out there.
Well, and that's another reason why I'm happy they played a little, a game, a real game, versus what they did last year. And if you're going to do the thing you did last year, you better be good. And it really called everything into question,
I mean, this is far from, half of this spring ball was just installing what the base offense and base defense was going to be.
I mean, I remember last year's spring game, and they were arguing, I think Grant made a good run or something, and they're like, well, did he get touched? Did he not get touched? Really? I couldn't believe that they didn't go full contact.
Wasn't a fan.
I mean, they said, well, you don't want to get it. Yeah, but you got to go full contact at some time during your training camp, so why not save one of those for spring game?
There's an appropriate level of contact.
Look like a pansy. If you're,
Yeah, but look at yesterday. I mean, you have Burrow, you have Jalen Ramsey, both during contact drills. Even though they're non-contact injuries, you can't afford to lose these guys.
But you can get hurt anytime.
Well, you can, absolutely.
You get hurt riding a 4-wheel.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah,
I mean, exactly. When
you're
it takes over and demonic 4-wheeler.
Yeah, demonic. Yeah, I mean,
when it stops and throws you into a rock.
It was like a kamikaze demon 4-wheeler.
It was.
Just took you and it into the rock.
Yeah.
Tell us about that trip. What drug did they put you on to put that initially to put that tube in?
The fentanyl. They put me on fentanyl, and it didn't touch me.
No.
So
what
then
was
they
the
added
other one? That ketamine. Yeah.
Well, I found out it was fentanyl first, and
Okay.
I didn't respond to it. So they added ketamine.
Tell
And I
us
still didn't
about your
respond.
trip.
Which trip? The trip to Great Falls?
No,
or the trip
no.
in my head.
In your head with the ketamine.
I'm thinking purple, purple haze.
Were Brian and I there?
No, you guys weren't. That would have been a nightmare. That would have been a nightmare.
Was a little red there?
Maybe.
Could have been. That's
But
my
it's
point.
Not necessarily a negative.
See, I'm not
No,
the
it was
only
like kaleidoscope type. That's
Just
stuff.
more
That had
vocal
residual
about it.
effect.
If I shared the story of Little Red with him,
That's not
then
on- you
I
can't-
need, I need to hear this. Because
I will, but not on air.
What fun are you?
I'm just not sure of my insurance situation right now. So
That's probably a story best
Yeah.
left for the archives. I
yes,
think.
because it's not really reflective of Little Red, but the person at that point in time that was playing Little Red.
Okay.
So I want to be somewhat protective of Little Red.
Okay.
But it's forever linked in my mind now.
Sure.
The story.
Yes. We're gonna get emails.
Luckily, no one knows the email address of this show.
keep that down.
Yeah. If they do, we're stars.
I said,
we've hit a market if we know.
I said, Will Ferrell contact us? Good luck.
Yeah.
And what is our call-in number?
Yeah, that's right. We're not going to have one. When you upload this stuff, obviously one of the things, this will be my first experience of actually uploading it to Spotify and everything, but there's options to get feedback and all this stuff, and I'm thinking, nope,
we don't want feedback. We don't.
No.
We don't really care what you guys think. It's about us.
This is for us.
This is about
to
us
hang
and
out.
yes.
And eat again when Carl's better and not on the narcotics. Drink beer and whiskey. So
Absolutely.
That's true. Yeah.
that's kind of the goal of this podcast. And talk football.
We're not looking for a rating or anything. We really don't care.
I will say though, if you want a fun place to experience a Husker football game, definitely tune in this fall.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a fun place to catch the game.
I think we got to consider watching the games and commenting over it, because it would add to people's experience, and we could do it broadcast live on Facebook.
And have the game up in the corner type of thing, and us
Just us
come in.
watching the game. I could move a camera down closer.
What was that one show back in the 80s with the theater and the guys up front?
Yeah,
that could be
that's
it.
basically it.
A little spaceman guy and his.
I'll put the
human
camera
friend.
right here. Just shoot it right on the screen.
Yeah.
I heard about a guy that does that for the Minnesota Vikings games.
Oh.
And you hear him walking around his house and stuff like that. So I'm like,
if he can bring excitement to a Vikings game,
well,
that's pretty incredible.
I have some close friends that are Vikings
I
fans.
know. Be
so-
careful. This is Vikings country around here.
Defense and have 5 DBs, you got to have guys that can cover. More importantly, you got to have guys that are not just able to, but willing to go up there and tackle.
And I talked about the in-state rivalry of just teams hating each other in the same state. Friends that are fans of the Vikings, and then had friends that are Green Bay Packers fans, but definitely on the friends of the Vikings, I remember hated Brett Favre.
Favre.
I mean,
Favre being
hated.
Even when they had him for a season or two?
They would send a story, even though they were all fans of the Vikings fans, but they would send these ladies would send Brett Favre panties to each other, be like, but yeah, I think so. It was funny when obviously Favre started playing for the Vikings and took him into the playoffs, and it was tough, I think, for him a little bit.
Oh, it had to be,
because that hate was still there. But
absolutely.
Well, probably a lot we're going to learn in this 47 seconds.
I don't think so.
I think it's probably going to set the season
Yeah, I
to
think
good or
much
bad.
this is it.
Yeah,
What
this
happens
is
in the
it.
last 47 seconds is
Yeah.
you determine whether we even exist anymore.
That's true. Oh yeah, do that walk.
There we go.
You know, I wanted to use the Beach Boys' "Be True to Your School" little segment for our theme music, but I'll have to do a little more research. But I Googled it, and
probably copyrighted.
In 2021, the Beach Boys sold their stuff to a major company, so yeah, it would probably get picked up immediately.
Bonner, the tight end with the grab.
Situational football here, 30 seconds left.
And like this broadcast, it's understanding it, you know, because everyone does it, but it goes under the fair use doctrine. So we can be watching it and chatting about it. It's not like if people want to watch that they're going to tune into this to see it. And it's available for free out there. So.
Purdy tries to get out of the grass, not going to get away. And he's pulled down.
And that's going to wrap.
There you go.
30 seconds. Okay.
Time out. What are you killing us here? Oh, I remember this. You want me to spoil it for you? Do you want a spoiler?
Okay, I do have to go. I have
okay.
a wedding I have to go to.
Everybody mute the sound if you don't want to spoiler what's going to happen here. He throws an interception.
Oh, shocking. We haven't had any turnovers yet, so I mean, come on now.
But I would say Purdy looked good during this spring game. I was coming out of last season. I was I was concerned with him, and then in this, I thought the spring game he looked pretty good.
I don't disagree. I think Sims kind of stole the show, obviously.
Sims looks like.
But, you know, we've got a couple of, I think that backup quarterback spot's going to be competitive.
Tune in next week, and I will give the lottery winning numbers.
There you go.
Yeah. Instead of just
did you give them now?
Well, I just said, hey, he's going to intercept it. How did I see that, Brian? How did I know?
Yeah.
I guess if I stick to it,
would be worth tuning in, folks.
I'll give. No, it's the lottery winning numbers last week.
All in all, good performance. I thought turnovers, of course, was something we've all talked about, and but it's some improvement.
Yep.
And then obviously what happened after this game and the weeks and months to follow was, I think, good. I think the recruiting's been very good. I think they've set the right tone.
It'll be fun to see what Sims and Grant do as far as their development as we get close to the season, because they looked good in this game. I thought they both looked good in this game.
Well, overall I like where the program is going. I like where Coach Rule, the things he said. One, he's a great speaker, and we really that's new for us.
Yeah,
you know, and he's good with the media and understands that, especially in a state like Nebraska. Bringing the media in and working with them is much better. I don't think we've had a coach that has worked with the media other than maybe Riley. Other than that, since right after Osborne or something.
Yeah.
But Frank Solich, I would say he did well with the media like Osborne did. And then after that, I think it's been hurting. But
well, I liked it. He says the right things too. It's not just articulate, but I like the character building stuff that he talks about, and he's not just talking. I mean, he's doing.
No, and he's done it in the past.
Yeah. Right. So. Yeah, he's been highly successful in college football in the past.
Absolutely. Temple and Baylor, and definitely.
It's kind of interesting that he said, if I got it right, he said if he hadn't been fired from his NFL position, he wouldn't have had the time to look around and decide what he wanted to do. He feels like he had time off, where potentially if he would have been fired at the end of the season, he might have needed to take a year off before he took a coaching position.
Sure.
So I think for Nebraska, for us, I think we got lucky that occurred.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep. But anything else, gentlemen?
No, I think that's a
good. I know, Pearl, you're suffering, buddy.
Well.
All right, then for Carl, for BB, Ricky J, and we will
and my hematoma.
And your hematoma. Should we have a name?
Hematoma. HT hematoma.
Well, hopefully within a few weeks that hematoma will not be with us.
I have a mini hematoma.
That's awesome. All right, gentlemen, that's good.
All right.
Bye.